should know. I have never really liked you at all. I cannot hide it anymore. I've been thinking about the future, trying to forget about the past. So many ways that I could change for the better.
This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free.
Joy, this is for you.
Drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. If you do them, you're bad because drugs are bad. Okay, it's a bad thing to do drugs, so don't be bad by doing drugs. Okay, that'd be bad. Drugs are bad. Okay.
Okay, Joy. Okay. Okay. Going to the store to get your crack. Okay. Okay, so don't do drugs, okay? How are y'all doing today? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. We got a lot to talk about. Oh my gosh, there is so much going on. Okay. Okay. There's so much going on. Okay. 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 Um, I saw that this just popped up while we were doing our live. This is for the sheriff's wife. It's a bond hearing, I do believe. See how long it is. It's like 27 minutes. We can watch part of it and see what they say. Now, she was charged 5-hour energy. Okay. I was concerned. I was a little concerned. Hey, Tony, Joy. I'm sorry, I didn't say hey to y'all. Tony, Joy, Avril, good to see you. Southern Cats, Cara, good to see you. Kimmy C123, Vicky the Leo, Miss Sarah's here. Ava Sim is here. Mallory Beaver's here. Good to see you. Edith. Orange Rose, Sue Joy. Good to see you. Good morning, Abellis. Good morning. Good morning. Mallory Beavers. Good morning. Good morning. Tom's here. I'm just scrolling. One sunny day is here. Good morning. Yesterday was crazy for me, y'all. It was so crazy. Hey, Southern Cats. Laura, good to see you. All right, so we got so much to get through today. So I suppose we're going to see what they said for the sheriff's wife. Let me show you what sheriff I'm talking about. This is in relation to the Madeline Soto case. Sheriff Marco Lopez, right here. There we go. This will tell us about what we're about to watch. Estranged wife of suspended Osceola County Sheriff due in court for bond hearing. We're not going to watch the whole thing. So it says that she is 1 week after Osceola County Sheriff Marco Lopez bonded out of jail. His estranged wife is due in court Thursday following her arrest on a racketeering charge tied to sprawling illegal gambling investigation. Robin Severance Lopez, 50, is being held on a $400,000 bond at Lake County Jail. She's accused of conspiracy to commit racketeering in a multi-million-dollar illegal gambling operation. So, it says it's live, but yeah, we'll just watch it over here so we don't have to look at the advertisements. Let's see what happened. Oh, I can't hear it. Why can't I hear it? Look, there her is in all her glory. Hey, Wolfie. Hey, Snarky Pants. Hey, Belladonna.
So we're here on the defense's motion. All right, we have witnesses?
I can't hardly hear it. Snarky Pants, I'm glad you're doing okay, sweetheart. Hey, Nessa. Wonder if Jim will be at the trial. I hope you're good, too. I can't hear it. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. Let's say turn it up. I'm skipping through to see if it gets louder. Let's see.
Let me get you, if you could pull that microphone down.
Please.
Let me see if I can, let me turn this up too. All right, go ahead.
Is that better?
Oh, yeah.
All right, great. I'd like to start by moving some records into evidence. Right now I'm looking at page number.
Okay, this is like really hard to hear.
Defense A, I would like to move it into defense 1. I believe there's no objection.
Any objection? All right, that'll be defense evidence one. Did you mark it?
We're going to go to the end and see what they said.
Joint bank account. And it's our contention that that is showing that there is over $250,000 in valid funds in the last 18 months coming into those accounts and no fraudulent deposits or suspect deposits into those accounts over the last 18 months. That said,
Hey, Scratch.
we have also provided, starting on page 28, a commission disbursement authorization form for a property on Fanny Bass Road. This is a property that Margot and Robin Lopez sold. It shows that on page 31 that they were paid $57,071.70 for that property. This property sold.
So basically they're stating that they're showing that her money is not from the illegal gambling operation. I kind of skipped to the end to see what they say. They're proving that she has funds that came from the sale of a house and they have a joint bank account, and that she basically, she just like him has to prove that any money they use to get out of jail is going to be not from the gambling operation. Skip it ahead all the way to the end because it's so hard to hear. I don't want to.
Is there a mortgage on that house?
I understand that there might be, Your Honor, but at this point, the state is, that is sufficient. It's been shown that that's property that was purchased prior to the allegations of threat. So we haven't had any issues with that. For the $26,600 check from Fairwood, we've accepted that that's coming from a family member. We haven't had additional questions. Once we saw the statement that was provided in an email, there were no additional questions, with the understanding that it's an elderly family member, okay? The issue has been since at least Monday, the $60,000 checks that are coming from these Chase accounts. Counsel represented to this court that's coming from 7386, which is Defense Exhibit 2, I believe, or one. Counsel that it's coming from a savings account or from a checking account is fine, except that we don't know how it got there. There is no explanation.
So they're getting $60,000 checks put into the bank account and nobody knows where it's coming from, which is interesting. I know we can't, there's no way for me to turn it up right now.
As to June 2025, where did the $60,000 come from? So we do have a witness who can testify to how that money got into the form of a check from Mrs. Lopez to present to a bondsman to pay for her bond, but we do not
Sorry.
have a source. Counsel repeatedly stated that she provided the state with 18 months worth of statements. And while we appreciate that, this racketeering allegation is not 18 months long. It started at least in 2019.
Oh, crap.
So, in defense's own exhibit, which is the account records, so specifically I'm talking about defense exhibit 1B.
Wait, 1B?
Yes. If you look at the very first page,
This is one. All right, look, what am I looking at?
the very first page is a savings account. It says Chase Premier Savings. This is the first statement that we were provided.
Ending June 13th of 2025.
Correct.
Right.
See the beginning balance of $130,066. We do not have any.
No, Nanny
source
Goat.
for that money, or
I'm going to
no
skip it all the way to the
record.
very end.
So if defense does not intend to put on any additional witnesses, we would be prepared to present our witness with the understanding that there's an information before the court.
So defense, do you want to put on any witnesses before we proceed?
Yes, Judge. Let me go.
At $178,000. Correct?
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
So, and then we see that every single, if you look, it's the Chase bolds all of the incoming money to this account. And we can see for each of the 18 months, all of the incoming money to this account come from one of the other two accounts. Never does an unexplained dollar come into this account for 18 months. No.
So they're going over finances for the sheriff and his wife. I'm going to go ahead and leave that because I'm not going to be able to hear a damn thing. We aren't going to be able to hear anything for until they re-put it out and we're able to hear. So I was like, have the kids been watching something? But they can't get on my account. So anyway, well, I'll try to come back to that and maybe do a short recap on what happens. It did sound like they were receiving laundered funds to me, but then um hey Rhonda, they said that all funds have been accounted for. So while they work that out and work the volume out, we'll go on to some other things. Mallory Bieber said, just an update for your missing kids. Maya Alfamensova has been found and returned home. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'll have to let me write that down. Oh, okay. I'll work on that. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. So we're going to talk about let's see. We've got several things on Kohberger. We're going to go I guess we'll go ahead and do Kohberger real quick. Well, not real quick. There's several things to talk about, but I wanted to see I have what his father said. And then I have some things from the Gonzalez family that I found pretty interesting. So let's look at what Brian Kohberger's father had to say after the plea.
What a day. If you are in the true crime community, what a day. I haven't had a day like this, I think, since OJ maybe, or Casey Anthony, but what a day. Sean Diddy Combs finds out he's partially not guilty and partially guilty, finds out he is not getting out of jail anytime soon. Nope. He is right back tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern, probably laying
Julie.
his head on a prison pillow at the MDC in the Southern Manhattan, right? Because the judge said, you're too dangerous to let out. You're too violent. My words, but effectively, that's what the judge said in denying him bail. And he's got another 4 months or so till October to find out how long he's going to spend in federal prison for 2 counts of violating the Mann Act, prostitution across state lines. Okay? Could be 20 years. If it just goes to the 9th, right? The nth degree.
So Sean Diddy Combs' verdict, he was found not guilty on the racketeering conspiracy, not guilty on sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura, count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution related to Cassie Ventura, he was found guilty. Count 4, sex trafficking of Jane, not guilty. Count 5, transportation to engage in prostitution related to Jane, he was found guilty. This is P. Diddy. I didn't realize that P. Diddy was in this interview. Hey, against all logic. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we need to do a live on that. Yeah, he was under that chair crying, evidently, when he found out he wasn't walking out of that courtroom a free man until sentencing today. His fifis were real bad hurt.
It could be 20 years. Probably not, but it could be. So he's going to have to stick it out. It's going to be a crappy summer for Sean Combs in the federal lockup until he finds out if it's going to be a crappy 5 or 10 or 20 years in prison. And all of this happening at the same time that one of the biggest stories, I dare say, of the last 10 years, right? The Idaho quadruple murders, the mystery of why a man would break in to a home where 4 students were sleeping peacefully and brutally slash them to death, stab them to death. I've had to say a man for 2.5 years. And tonight I say Kohberger did it. Because he showed up in court in that tan shirt and tan tie. And that was the look, staring straight ahead.
Look at him. Everybody talked about, I've heard a lot, like I've watched a few people speak on this, and everybody talks about how he's not remorseful. That's the one I want.
Tan shirt and tan tie.
He's not remorseful. He was very cold and calculated in what he said. And I wanted to further on that. I mean, we got to remember that this crime was committed, in my opinion, just because he wanted notoriety. He wanted to see if he could do it. I've related this case so many times with Brian Kohberger. To this movie. It's called Murder by Numbers. She was the only flaw in their plan. Like they make a plan to commit a homicide, and they try to do everything exactly 100% by the book. And try not to get caught. The Brian Kohberger case and the Idaho 4 case has always reminded me so much of that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to sound cold either, but like, I don't know what people expected. Did they think he was going to cry? He didn't. I mean, I'm not trying to upset anybody, but he didn't care about them. I mean, the whole point, I don't even think it was necessarily them. I think it was going to be anybody at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, it ended up being them. I don't think it was anything personal. I don't think I mean, I think they were just victims he chose. Those were his targets. He wanted to see if he could do it and get away with it, if he could commit the perfect murder, and that's what he did. He probably has a bulletproof vest on to protect him. I think it's a bulletproof vest if I had to ask. I mean, if I have to guess, because they don't want him shot. He will be wearing a nice orange suit at sentencing. Yeah, and that's another thing. He's not. He supposedly he could possibly be autistic, and sometimes showing emotions is difficult for people with autism. And I mean, again, though, at the end of the day, he didn't care about the victims at all whatsoever. It wasn't about that. It was about trying to commit the perfect homicide. I think that's why he took all the classes, got all the education, planned this out to try to make it look a certain way. He did it. He got whatever exhilaration he got from it, and his intentions were to commit the perfect plan, the perfect crime. I think I think there's something to do with the DoorDash driver, but I don't think it's her specifically. I think maybe she had a camera on her car or something. I don't know. That whole hearing was so wrong. The judge complaining about himself getting Xana's name wrong twice. Oh my God. I didn't even realize that, Tony. And we watched it yesterday. Upset me so damn bad, I yeeted myself. I said, I need to take a minute. That really is messed up, though, that the judge got her name wrong twice. My goodness. Oh, we need to see what his supporters say. All right, we're going to get back to this.
And that was the look, staring straight ahead. I don't know if you noticed this, but a producer I work with said, did he shave his eyebrows? And I tried to get a really close look at all these pictures. I mean, I looked closely, but those eyebrows were not the same as the ones that we'd heard about and read about, bushy eyebrows, that one of the surviving roommates at 1122 King Road said she saw. Look at those eyebrows. You tell me. Did he shave those eyebrows? Something's changed profoundly, but it doesn't matter. If, Brian Kohberger, you were preparing for trial and thinking that shaving your bushy eyebrows might save you from the firing squad, well, you aren't going in front of the firing squad, but you aren't going to live amongst us ever again, because today we can call you one of the most foul beasts among us. You are a sick and twisted murderer, quadruple murderer. You said so yourself. My hair stood on end When I heard him, my hair stood on end. Finally utter the words akin to a confession of sorts. I want you to see it for yourself. Take a look.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, enter the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder?
Yes.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
Did you, on or about that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
And did you, on that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
And then on or about November 13th, 2022, again in Latah County, Idaho, did you kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Hold on.
Yes.
Did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
All right. Based on the state's proffer and importantly, based upon defendant's explicit admission to committing these crimes, the court finds there is a factual basis. Therefore, with respect to count one, burglary, felony, how do you plead, Mr. Kohberger, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count two, murder in the first degree, as it relates to the murder of Madison Mogan, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count three, as it relates to murder in the first degree for the murder of Kaylee Gonzalez, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count four, the first degree murder of Xana Kernodle, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count five, the first degree murder of Ethan Chapin, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
The court will find that the defendant understands the nature of the charges and each offense and the possible consequences to him of his guilty plea.
Now, going on that, Orange Rose, I want to go on that a little bit more. Orange Rose said, seems happy. Would you like fries with that? Yeah, like the way he's saying it, I think he is happy. I think that he feels like he's going to be studied for years. And that is going to take me to something that I saw on our fellow person that let us use some of her content that I watch sometimes. She made a post, J for Justice. Let me try to grab her link real quick and drop it in the chat. If you have not subscribed to her, please make sure you do. She does a really great job. I think she went to News Nation or something like that and was on their show. That is the link for J for Justice. Now, I was scrolling through my YouTube this morning, and I saw a couple of things. That is on there. First of all, that's Brian Kohberger's signature on the plea deal. So that's what it looks like, which is weird. Like, I would think that's weird for me. I would think he would have very beautiful handwriting, as much as he studied in school and things like that. This is what I wanted to talk to y'all about real quick. Talking about going further in on him being studied for years and the notoriety he thinks he's going to get from this. She said, this is a statement from the Gonzalez Facebook page. Why did they mention Kopaka, the fallen soldier? Was he someone Kohberger was implicating, or is there more to this? And so they said, I can't click on it. There we go. Maybe. Okay, right here, this is from the Gonzalez family page. Right here, right now, we dig our heels into the earth and carve a line deep in the dirt. This ain't justice. No judge presided, no jury weighed the truth. Thompson robbed us of our day in court. No negotiations, no jury of our peers, not even the pretense of cooperation and fairness. Cowardly men, gutless men, they scatter like roaches when the battle closes in. And Thompson, he's retiring on this deal, his shadow slithering toward the exit, leaving only the stench of his betrayal. No spine, no shred of honor. He didn't have the basic decency, the plain human courage to face the families, to meet our eyes and ask, quote, how do we make an offer that works? Why can't I see? I want to see it. Hold on a minute. I can pull it up on my phone and I'll read it from there. Okay, the bottom part of this one that I can't pull up for whatever reason says, instead, Thompson cut his deal with the devil. His negotiations didn't require anything other than a simple guilty plea, allowing him the leeway to blame the same people you are paid to protect. You betrayed us, Thompson. Your deal fails to shield the innocent. You could have stood tall and made damn sure the blame stayed where it belongs, not on us. Not to be broken survivors still carrying the weight of your repeated failures. Now, the second part. This is our courtroom now, this moment, this stand. Our voices rise to every American who will listen. We would have provided protection for the roommates, the best friends, the fallen vet, God rest his soul, and every soul affected in our shattered community. We would have carried our terms like sacred commandments etched deep into unyielding granite, a testament to those we've lost and the justice they're owed. First, truth, spill it. BK, every sickening detail only the killer could know. The kind that twists your guts just to hear, but turns even a simpleton pro-burger against you. Second, you bear the guilt, all of it alone. You don't get to smear the survivors, the ones still walking the nightmares born of your reckless choices. Third, no cashing in on our grief. No books, no private interviews with your ex professor. No one is allowed to study you because you're not special. You don't get to spit on our kids' graves by making this all about you. Only Hitler can step into this void, mend the wreckage Thompson left, and lay tall so called justice system. This is what murder victims' family negotiations look like, which I found chilling and wow. Like, I have never heard anything so. I mean, I don't even know the words for that. They're very hurt, very upset, very angry. And if they weren't on board with this plea deal to that extent, I think that they should have negotiated longer. I think they should have done something to make sure that they were happy. Michael said, I know he lost his child, but in my opinion, he's making this about him. The state of Idaho has an obligation to the public to make sure he's locked up and the state is safe. You got a good point. Hey, Holly. Good to see you. That's a great point there, Michael. And to further on that, this case was the state of Idaho versus Brian Kohberger, not the family of Kaylee Gonzalez, the family of Xander Kernodle, the family of Ethan Chaplin, and the family of Madison Mogan. It was the state of Idaho. As long as the tension is focused on him, he is happy. I agree with that too, Tony. Orange Rose said, but if he would have pled guilty right off the bat, there would have been no trial either. Though I do get them being upset. That's true too. He did Shaker Maker, and it's in this interview that we're going over. Let me go back over to that. So it's in this interview that we're listening to. Rhonda said, remember, during his little shouting spell, he told everybody to call the courthouse, call the judge and everybody, and he got scolded at the beginning of the hearing, and he did. I think they should have made him tell everything he did as part of the plea. Apparently, that is doable, she said, and I think it would have made the families better. BK saying he's guilty is the closest thing the families will get to an apology. I agree with that too, unfortunately.
Court finds that there is a factual basis for the plea and that finds the defendant believes the plea to be in his best interest. I find that the plea was given freely, voluntarily, and was intelligently made. I accept the plea. I direct that it be entered.
I'm not going to lie. It caught in my throat that Judge Hippler pronounced Xana Kernodle's name wrong twice. That was upsetting to me because I'm not on that case. I know her name.
That's what y'all were just saying in the comment section. And evidently, Ashley Banfield feels the same.
I care about her. I care about all 4 of those victims so intently that I listened to every moment of that proceeding. And I was just so disgusted by the tone of voice of Brian Kohberger, the murderer. Just matter of fact, yes, guilty, whatever.
I think a lot of people were. Mallory said, I'm so sorry he feels let down. I can't imagine the pain he carries. But at least this way we know for sure BK will never get out. You never know with a jury, but I feel so bad. He is in so much pain. He is. Yeah, the judge was very upset about so many people calling the courthouse. He made sure to say so in the beginning. And he said that it's not calling the courthouse ain't going to do a damn thing, but basically piss me off because this is not about you guys calling the courthouse and telling me what to do. This is about justice and the justice system and how it works. But I mean, the issue, sir judge, is that the family is not seeing justice in the decision that you made. And I mean, again, we've known for a while that I apologize, but I'm not sure of his name. I call him Santa Claus like y'all do. We've known for a while that he's going to retire after this. So was this just his way to get out the door, like the family said and feel? It's only left the families with more questions and no answers. Yep. I know, even I can say all their names, and I'm telling you, I did not study this case. Honestly, I'll be very, very honest in this moment. When I was doing my hashtags the first day that we were going to talk about Brian Kohberger, I had to look up their names because I knew that there was like Madison and I knew there was Xana. I didn't know Ethan's first name, and I knew that Kaylee's first name, but I didn't know their last name, so I had to look them up. And like even in just a day, I knew their names. So like I don't, yeah, that's really, it's kind of frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. I get both sides too, Miss Sarah. Yep. Shaker Maker said he's a psychopath, but didn't expect anything from him. But I wanted him to have to tell what he did, and the first proven lie, death penalty. Yeah. Hey, Abraham. Mancoon. They are cool. The judge has to be professional and compassionate, but not overly emotional. Unfortunately, I don't think the families had enough say in the plea deal. I think the state wanted it done and over. I agree 100% with that. And I think that that's exactly what happened. I think you're exactly right, Miss Sarah.
Just perfunctory.
Hey, Donna.
So as we were
Hey,
processing
Turquoise.
this, I told you, what a day. Everything else was happening on the other coast in New York. Again, Diddy, more activity. We had to wait till 5 o'clock today to find out, is Diddy going to get out of jail? Waiting his sentencing? Will he have some kind of a appeal where he'll be able to be with his family while a long appellate process plays out before sentencing? And it didn't work for him. Didn't work for him at all. Nope, the judge said, no, you're not going anywhere. And then his lawyers, late in the day, if you missed this, came out on the courthouse steps to talk to the huge crowd and to the reporters who were all waiting. And this is what Mark Agnifilo, his lead attorney, said.
Today's a great victory. It's a great victory for Sean Combs. It's a great victory for the jury system. You saw that the Southern District of New York prosecutors came at him with all that they had. They're not stopping, but one thing stands between all of us and a prison, and that is a jury of 12 citizens. And we had a wonderful jury They listened to every word. And they got the situation right, or certainly right enough.
We'll see if he feels the same way in October when the judge takes into account what he wants and what the prosecution wants in terms of a sentence. Okay, I'm going to flip back now again to Kohberger because this has been a true crime day. Senior national correspondent Brian and
Am I froze now? They must have it must have been when Diddy's lawyer was speaking. They made it to where it wouldn't show. Interesting. His lawyers are doing too much. The prosecution could have done a better job explaining Rico. I agree. This got to trial. The DOJ usually has 90% success rate on their cases. Did they rush charging Diddy? Maybe. I think they were paid, honestly. Apple pie sounds good, Lorraine.
has been on this story since the very first day. He has been in Idaho for almost every single hearing. He's there live now. Brian, you were in court. Just take me there. Tell me all the feels.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot. You know, it started with us lining up outside the hallway. Some people were here 5 or 6 hours early. We were all silent inside while the victims' families walked by and took their seats first. We went in. The first thing I noticed when Brian Kohberger came in is what you noticed. His eyebrows were a lot less bushy. He had a fresh haircut. His hair was much shorter. He was skinnier than I remembered seeing him last time. And then it all started. And I think I was waiting for some kind of emotion, finally. I mean, some kind of remorse. And it just never came. I mean, when he would say yes or guilty, I was just staring at him. Just, is there a little something on his face that like shows that he feels bad? And it never came. It never came, Ashley. It reminded me of like when you're on the phone with an automated system trying to get someone and you either say yes or no, and you just want to get the person on the phone, the operator. Like that's the way he was answering the questions. Like this wasn't about 4 innocent people murdered. And he never showed any emotion, just sat there, Ashley.
I wonder if he enjoyed the control that he had in that courtroom, if he felt like it was control. Certainly isn't control there. We're dictating his life. The community, we're dictating his life from now on. But I was surprised when I heard Judge Hippler refer at the beginning of the hearing to both families, the families of the victim and the family of the victims and the family of the defendant. Talk to me about the Kohbergers.
Yeah, I'm interested to know what the Kohbergers have said. Tom, have you? I know they showed it just a second ago, but yeah, I saw that sketch of him under the table. Like they show a sketch of him with his fist up, like saying, like, "Yeah, we did it. All right, awesome, we won, fantastic. I'm not going to jail for the rest of my life." And then the next sketch you see, he's under the table crying like a 3-year-old. Stop it. He can get his haircut, but he still looks like a demon. I know he took them clippers right across them eyebrows and said, "Nope, not today, bushy eyebrows." Donna said, "In my opinion, I don't think the families would even get any information they are seeking. That's why it would have never been answered, even with the trial. He's a psychopath." That's probably true. You know what? It does. Yeah, them eyebrows, there is not a stray hair to be found in sight on them eyebrows. Look at her smiling.
Finally coming out west and attending one of these hearings.
Yeah, I sat right behind them. It just so happens that my seat was right behind the Kohberger. So I was watching Brian the whole time, but then I would switch and stare at his parents just to kind of see how they were
Right.
reacting. They never cried. They never like weeped or anything like that, but you could see a sadness on their face. They were sad, and especially when it was over and they had us all remain seated, and they let everybody out first, the families, and the Kohbergers went out, and I could just see the way they stood up and walked out that they were taken aback by this, but their son wasn't, and I was just wondering what they were thinking. Like, they at least had a look of concern on their face, but their son, it was just stone cold, Ashley. It was just like any other day.
I mean, again, I know a lot of people are upset about it, obviously, even the news, but I don't know what everybody expected. Hey, Miss Kimmy, happy 4th Eve to you as well. I wish he would have cried. I wish he would have showed emotion, but like I said earlier, it wasn't about that for him. It was just committing the perfect homicides, plural, I think.
And, there we were on the East Coast in Manhattan where Diddy was standing up and clapping for the gallery and saying, "Mom, I love you," like out loud. And here were these poor, long-suffering Kohberger parents who'd come out to support their son, and he ghosted them effectively in court.
I wondered, like, someone asked me, did they ever look at each other? I never noticed. Usually you'll see some kind of eye contact or some kind of little smile or just a little moment between, a defendant and the family. I never saw that even once. I was wondering, like, did they get some time with him before or after? Because it's so weird they never even locked eyes during the hearing. The prosecutor Bill Thompson did get emotional at one point when he read this statement where he went over the evidence, Ashley. A lot of it was stuff we knew. There was some, just horrible, horrible stuff about how Kohberger, which we've always wondered about, Ashley, he parked, they say, up in the back of the house, which we never knew, up on that hill up in the back of the house. It's actually where I would always park when I was out there doing stories. And he parked up there. He went in through a kitchen sliding glass door, which we had suspected, but we never actually heard prosecutors.
So he did go in through the sliding glass door. Let me see if I can pull up a layout of the house. What was it, like 111 Kings Road? I'm going to look. It's not the 4th yet. It's the 4th Eve. So today's July 3rd. If you want your fireworks, you're going to have to go get them today. Hey, Bazzer. And I hope y'all do have a good 4th tomorrow. I will be live. I'm not doing anything. We're going camping next week. But I'm going to come back to the house and be live. Let me see what I can pull up. Layout of... Hold on, just a minute. Let's see. Okay, so that's the 2nd floor. Okay. Wait a minute. I'm confused. So he came in the back door, I'm assuming right there where that thing comes in, the back door or the sliding glass door, through the kitchen area, up the stairs. So what, through here? No, there's the sliding glass door. So he came up the porch through the sliding glass doors into the kitchen. And then in the bedrooms. Okay, so that's the 1st floor. From the porch into the sliding glass door onto the 2nd floor. Went up to the 3rd floor. Went in the bedrooms. Yeah, okay. There's a better picture of it, but I can't move my mouse to click back to what y'all are saying. So I wonder if he went in the sliding glass doors on the top or on the bottom. I'm assuming on the bottom because unless there's a stairway to get to the sliding glass doors on the top, he had to go into the bottom onto the 2nd floor. Hey, Manders. It's very divided with the 4 families. It is. Mentally, I don't think I would want to hear the details of how he slaughtered my child. You think so? It appears he did. Maddie and Ethan's family are fine with the plea deal. They get a say too. It's how they have chosen to get some closure. You're right. Mr. Gonzalez made a comment about the parents' flight itinerary. I suspect they had a heads up on what was happening before the families did. Oh, wow. If they were able to get there that quick. He came in the kitchen through the sliding door, went up to the 3rd, and then back down to the 2nd floor, and then back out the kitchen sliding door. Okay, thank you. I don't I'm not very familiar with the case. Like, I don't know every aspect of it. I know a lot about it, but not every aspect. So I appreciate that. Okay, so let's see. He came in the kitchen through the sliding door, went up to the 3rd, and then back down to the 2nd and back out the kitchen. So he came in on the 2nd floor from the sliding glass door into the kitchen, and then went to the windows, went up to the 3rd floor, and then there's the balcony that's above the sliding glass doors with the and then did what he did there, and then went back down out the kitchen sliding glass door. Okay, thank you so much, Miss North's musings. Musings. It is a little bit. Some just posted 3rd of the house. Hey, Kalisa. Hey, Dainty Dane. He shouldn't be acting so smug like he's all that. He got caught, and many haven't gotten caught ever, not having criminally studied a damn thing, basically. I agree. All right, let's go back to the and see what his father has to say. Real quick, Miss Sarah said, I get the division on the death as well. No one could imagine what the parents are going through. I do know many states don't have the death penalty, and I've also heard Idaho isn't crazy about carrying it out fast. Very true. He hasn't spoke yet. I think he's going to speak in just a second. It appears, I was scrolling down, that he comes on right there. I do believe that. Hold on. Let me make sure I didn't get it mixed up. Father of Brian Kohberger victims. Shoot. Said he feels you. Dang it. So I guess it's not him. I might have got confused and read it too fast. Let me fix that. I apologize. The way they worded it was weird. I'm going to go ahead and play this, see if I can find something else real quick and fix it.
Say, and he went up to the 3rd floor first, brutally stabbed and killed Kaylee and Maddie. And the prosecutor alluded to the fact that they were the targets. And he never said why, but he said that that's who. Basically, he said that that's who Kohberger was there to kill. But when he was going down the stairs, he encountered Xana, and then killed Xana, stabbed her to death, and then stabbed and killed Ethan to death in his sleep.
And of course, Xana had gone out to get a DoorDash delivery. And who knows if that was the reason that she encountered this vile killer. And but for the DoorDash delivery, might she have remained in her bedroom like the other roommates, and she and Ethan might be alive? Because perhaps Kohberger went there just to kill Maddie and Kaylee. Perhaps he went there just...
So I apologize. The way it was worded was weird. Evidently, he doesn't. I read Father of Brian Kohberger says family feels used after plea deal. I apologize about that. I'm going to search and see if there's anything. I did fix it. I do apologize. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. I hate that I did that. I'm sorry. We are going to watch this, but I think it's the families of the victims. I think I read it wrong. And again, I sincerely apologize about that. I am going to, like I said, check, but while we watch this. So I do apologize to anybody. I really didn't mean to do that. And I try really hard not to do that. I sincerely apologize.
To kill one of them, Maddie or Kaylee, but they were in the same bed. There's so many what ifs, and maybe we'll get answers, closer to the sentencing, and certainly when the gag order is lifted after the sentencing. Brian, stay with me for a moment. I want to bring into our conversation Steve Gonzalez, who is Kaylee's father, and his attorney, Shannon Gray, who have, endured the wrath of all of this for 2.5 years. Steve, I watched you earlier today. My heart was breaking. as you, in protest, left court because
I want to show y'all this real quick. Now, this is from E! News. It says Brian Kohberger's family reacts to the plea deal in Idaho case. I don't know what they have on it. We can watch that real quick. And then we'll go back to what the victim's father said. Let's see what E! News says, I suppose.
The attorney
Okay, hold on.
Brian Kohberger's family is speaking out. Brian's family is commenting after learning the 30-year-old plans to plead guilty to murdering 4 Idaho college students. After Sharon Gray, the attorney for the family of murder victim Kaylee Gonzalez, confirmed to NBC News that a plea deal had been offered to the 30-year-old and accepted, taking the death penalty off the table, his family is responding.
I hope they really are.
The release, shared by the family's Pennsylvania-based legal representation, Amori and Associates LLC, says, in light of recent developments, the Kohbergers are asking members of the media for privacy, respect, and responsible judgment during this time. We will continue to allow the legal process to unfold with respect to all parties, and will not release any comments or take any questions.
So they did say that, but that's pretty much what they would say through their, it is AI voice, Anders. That is pretty much what they would say through their attorney.
The statement adds, we ask that you respect our wishes during a difficult time for all those affected. Opening statements in the trial were scheduled to get underway on August 18th, but according
Okay, so that's what they said. I'll play that part again so I don't get struck, and then we'll go back to the victims. But I mean, again, it's just a blanket statement through the, it's scary how realistic it sounds. It is entertainment news, though. It's just a blanket statement through the attorney.
In light of recent developments, the Kohbergers are asking members of the media for privacy, respect, and responsible judgment during this time. We will continue to allow the legal process to unfold with respect to all parties, and will not release any comments or take any questions. The statement adds, we ask that you respect our wishes during a difficult time for all those affected. Opening statements in the trial were scheduled to get underway on August 18th.
So, again, a relative blanket statement. Excuse me. See, Brian Kohberger murder, I don't know, they're worded weird. Okay, so let's go back to Ashley Banfield. Again, I apologize. Y'all don't understand how bad that, like, I literally want to cry right now that I read it wrong and it's my fault. Y'all don't understand how I feel about clickbait. Like, I can't, oh my God. So I changed the title and I changed the description. I do apologize again, sincerely.
because it's no secret you were not on board with this plea bargain. You're not the only family member not on board. I just wanted to touch base with you and just see how you are tonight. How are you processing, and what your thoughts are after this momentous day?
My family feels used. We feel like they took Kaylee's name and they used it.
It's off. It's not me. It's the video.
It is a weapon. They used it for a reason to commit whatever decision that they had, but it wasn't a share. It wasn't.
Thank you, guys.
It wasn't something that the community agreed on. It wasn't something that we agreed on as the victims of the families. It was a script. It was just a script that they had, and we just were just another name on a spreadsheet, and they just went through the system, and it was business as usual. But this isn't a family as usual. We're not a normal family. We're gonna fight back. You're not gonna play us. You're not gonna use my daughter's name and literally pretend like we believed in your plea deal. We didn't. We believe in our community. We believe in our peers. We believe in a jury. We believe in the process. Maybe we're fools. Maybe we are complete fools for believing you should have a trial to put somebody in prison for life or kill them. But I'd rather be a fool than to believe in the system that I see before me.
He is real upset, and I did just read the statement that he put out on the Facebook page. Like, he is not happy, and he's letting it be known. I mean, but I couldn't imagine being in his position. Hey, Bogart. Bazard said it's possible Brian Kohberger's dad and family knew more, but like we always see in many cases, families will do anything to protect their loved ones when they get in trouble, especially dangerous mistakes. Yeah, so basically, if he does know more, do you think he'd ever admit to it? Do you think he'd ever come out and say it? Maybe. Maybe down the road, now that he knows his son can't be put to death for it.
Steve, you made the trip to Boise with your family. Did any prosecutors or anyone from the prosecutor's office reach out to you or anyone with your family either before the hearing, at any point outside the court, or after the hearing?
The only people who reach out to me are agents that aren't part of this court system that have warned me to be careful with this court system. And shame on me for not listening. Shame on me for letting Kaylee down. It's my mistake. I'm sorry, Kaylee.
Oh, God.
I'm truly sorry that I didn't get you a prosecutor who really believed what happened to you.
Oh, God. He can't do that. You can't take that onto yourself. I mean, the prosecutor was representing all the victims. I don't know that he had a different choice. Oh my God, please don't let this man blame himself. Jesus, I hope he doesn't. God, let him not blame himself. I mean, you said it right here, Miss North. Steve said he feels he failed his daughter. Oh my God. I agree 100% with what they're saying. They were treated unfairly and didn't get the justice they were hoping for, said Tony. Bazard said probably, but it would be years later, close to his deathbed, he might say more. And this goes for either Brian Kohberger or his family. I agree. And Brian Kohberger must have told them not to say anything ever. He knows how this works, so he would definitely be careful with this, if he ever even told them anything. We'll hear more. His professor, Dr. Ramsland, is going to be profiling Brian. She'll write a book as well, just like she did about BTK. This is very heartbreaking. Oh, my God.
Could only be fixed with life. Fixed, you know. You killed 4 people, and to take 1 life for 4 seems like pretty simple math. But these guys describe this as a win, even though they don't ask us what a win looks like. So I'm sorry. I apologize to my daughter. I let her down, and it's been a terrible day. It's been terrible.
You know, Steve, I'll go on the record saying there's been no stronger advocate for your daughter than you. I get it. It's been a terrible day, but I really don't want you going forward thinking you haven't done everything. You have done everything and more for Kaylee. Look, I see the system. I know the system. Shannon, weigh in. You know the system. You're a lawyer. You're in Idaho. I haven't seen an advocate like Steve has been for his daughter in any case I've covered.
You know, Steve is, he's a rock, right? He's a rock for the family. He's a rock for this prosecution moving forward and gathering evidence and facts. And I mean, we've had dozens of meetings where we basically sat in and told them what they should be doing, and them sitting down and taking notes about things. But we all the time just trying to keep confident in the prosecution. And you know, it was not what the victims wanted. It wasn't what the Gonzalez family wanted, and the way the process was for notifying them, and it just puts a bad taste in your mouth about all of it. And
now he's talking about the process for notifying them, and I saw that you guys said that the Kohbergers were able to get a plane and go and be there when their son was sentenced, or not sentenced, pled guilty. So that is concerning if the victims' families weren't notified the same way that Brian was. That's not fair at all, among other things. Miss North said, yes, she said she wondered if she inspired Brian. He took 4 of her courses over 2 years. BTK is really her claim to fame. In fact, she's still friends with him 20 years later. Yes, ma'am. We watched a video that she did the other day, and it was something. I don't know. Yeah, she basically said she thought she was inspiration for him, which I find concerning. Donna said, my heart breaks for the family. Mine too. This is sad.
You know, and even talking with Stephen Christie today, the tone of the judge today was, I think they felt was completely improper. You know, and so there was a lot of things that, you know, you walk away after 2.5 years of just being completely demonized and hassled and trolled and you name it on the internet and everybody else. And for it to end this way, not only the outcome of it, but also the way that it happened, just seems really unfair and completely uncalled for.
Steve, you've got a month to prepare a victim's impact statement. You can say anything to this court. I know you haven't prepared it yet, but do you have a preview of what you want to say to this court when you get to stand up and what you want to say to Brian Kohberger?
I was kind of proud of my kids today because I didn't go into the courtroom, and then when it was all said and done, after Hitler tried to turn it into his secretary being busy and his lines being flooded with phone calls was more pressing than 4 dead souls that were killed in their bed. My kids came out of.
You know, he's got a point. Like, he was up there fussing and showed more emotion about people calling the courthouse than he did about the victims. Hey, Proud Danish. Which is very upsetting. Chrissy, I'll show you that video. I've got it on my playlist when we get done watching this. In my opinion, the state knew and they had a case that, yes, had big circumstances that had Brian Kohberger related to the case, but with the leaks that mostly came from the DA's side, other evidence affected the outcome. Yeah. Yeah, it's not been long since the leaks, but the most recent thing was the DoorDash driver seeing him, which is weird to me because I don't think she was credible.
They said they don't think they ever want to go back into a courtroom again. So I don't even think we're actually going to even do a victim statement. There's no point in it. It's pointless exercise.
Hey, Proud Danish.
I respect that some family was in my position years ago, and they probably felt a lot like how I feel right now and thought that they should be able to speak and address the courtroom and try to fix the courtroom. That's probably what these victim statements were supposed to be, but they're not that anymore. And we're G's, we're Gonzalez's. We don't participate in pointless exercise that are a waste of our time. What we do is we speak to the media, we speak to people like you, we make change happen from inside out. And that's probably why they get mad at us and they push back at us and they say that, we're combative and this and that. You know what we are? When somebody says they're 100% for their daughter and they're a G, they're 100%. And that means some little plea deal that you made in the back alley isn't good enough. It's not good enough. 4 souls were lost for one Brian. Brian's not worth one of these people, let alone 4. And I'll never accept a deal where one freaking Brian gets locked up in daycare for freaking adults. And that's supposed to be equivalent to 4 souls, 4 Idahoans, 4 of us, guys, 4 of us in college doing everything to the best of our ability. One loser from Pennsylvania is in his life, in our system, taking care of him. That's equivalent. That's equivalent. You need to keep calling. You need to keep calling people like Hitler. And maybe he doesn't get reelected. Maybe he needs to pick up that phone and hear those calls and understand who he represents. Because this is Idaho, and we hold you accountable.
I mean, to be fair, he is elected to represent the constituents. His constituents are the people of Idaho. And I mean, I don't know what the state of Idaho as a whole thinks if you took a poll of all the constituents, how they would feel about this case. But I'm sure a lot of people felt injustice and you want to keep your constituents happy. I mean, I get it 100%. I I don't understand how he's feeling. I never would. I've not lost a child in such a horrific manner, and I feel for anybody who has. It's a horrible thing. I mean, but at the end of the day, they're seeing it as a very bureaucratic thing. There is a psychopath that is not on the streets, that's locked up forever, has no chance of appeals. It's a win for them. And unfortunately, the families are left to the side in a sense of words. Yeah, the victim impact statements are going to be heartbreaking to hear, but I don't think he's going to participate. I think he sees it as a, pointless exercise, as he put it. I do believe that's what he said. I get the families affected by Brian Kohberger's guilty plea need to turn the page on their own terms. My only thought is from now on, BK figuratively has his hand on their throats till his last breath. Not right. I agree. See, Joy, good to see you. I'm stuck in the middle. I hurt for the families that wanted this to be seen through, but the other families didn't want to go through the trial and all the details. There is no happy ending. I agree with that too.
Steve, if you may, depending on how the next month goes, you may change your mind. You may decide to give an impact statement. If you don't, it is fully within your right. Do you have a message for Brian Kohberger tonight?
Sorry if y'all heard that.
You're a complete loser. You're an absolute loser. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed that we couldn't have ended you. We didn't find the leadership to end you. That's your victory, bro. That's the best it's going to be. You beat me on that. My bad. I believed in the wrong people. I believed in the wrong leadership. But we'll fix that.
What do you hope for him? What do you hope will happen in the future that is now inevitable for Brian Kohberger?
They say there's such thing as a prison justice, and some of those people have reached out to me. Maybe they have a welcome gift for him. Maybe they can, maybe this Pennsylvania city kid can go to Idaho. Some of those guys in there have kids just like mine, look just like mine, same age as all these other kids that were here. And you worked you made a couple choices, made a couple wrong turns, and you're in there. But you want the best for your kid. You want your kid to go to college. You want everything for them to go in there and win. And you don't want them to die. You don't want them to die. So maybe you should talk to Brian, have a little welcome package for him, and welcome to Idaho.
Not a good thing to put out on the news media. Real quick, you asked if he had siblings. He has 2 siblings, Amanda and Melissa Kohberger. He is the youngest child of Michael Kohberger Jr. and Marianne Kohberger, and has 2 older sisters, Amanda and Melissa. Amanda and Melissa had stayed largely out of public view until their brother's arrest. He needs to be careful saying that, because somebody's going to do it, and then he could be held accountable. Conspiracy to commit homicide would be the charge. That's not a good one. I don't know, Anders. I don't know if Jennifer Soto is going to say anything with the victim impact statement. I hope that if she does, I'll probably want to punch her in the mouth, but I think it would be better if none of them showed up for sentencing, only let it be Brian and his family. Do you think that anybody would care? Do you think the judge would care? I don't know. He's a dweeb, a loser. A big night on Kings Road didn't go the way he planned. He went there to S.A. Madeline Mogan, and it all went to hell. Now it's his life in the balance. He wants spared. I agree with Steve. I want the death penalty. Yeah. Hey, Content. Good to see you. I think the family should be there. People must truly start being accountable to their extent. Kohberger is going to be in a cushy cell, so that's not going to happen. Let's see. Hold on. I'm going to play this and see where he's going and what it looks like.
It's completely understandable. I can't imagine being in your shoes. Like I said, it's a month away. Maybe Brian Enton, if you could step in for a moment and just give our audience a reminder of what comes next and on what dates, and what happens in the next month.
Yeah, the sentencing actually has been set at the end, of July, and That is when the victim impact statements will be made. I believe maybe Brian Kohberger could also say something if he wishes. I do want to elaborate on one thing Steve was saying when his connection was breaking up. And I'm curious what you think about this, Ashley, because you've covered so many cases. But it was very odd to me that when we went into the courtroom and it was such a solemn feeling. And it was, I mean, like the biggest hearing in Idaho history, and the families are there and Brian Kohberger's there. And there's just this really just deep, feeling. And the first thing the judge says is, I've got something that I want to address, like almost with an attitude, and says that it's been incredibly disruptive, that me and my staff have been getting calls and the calls need to stop. And my staff has work to do. And this went on for a couple of minutes. And again, I'm curious what you think, Ashley. You were probably listening in the beginning, but like, it just seemed kind of tone deaf to me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I was surprised. I just kept thinking about Steve and the other family members. That's what they're hearing first. I know Steve wasn't in the courtroom, but it was difficult. But I also know how affected so many people across the country, indeed across the world.
But I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I've heard, if you got an issue, call your congressman, call the judge. That's what they're there for. Like, that's their job, is to take phone calls and things like that. So as of right now, until he's sentenced, Brian is in the Ada County Jail. This is a picture that shows bunks with the bunk beds. Looks like a pretty normal dorm to me. Those bunk beds are metal. It appears they have a pillow, which I've never seen before. I've never been anywhere that they gave me a pillow. That's crazy. Then you have the plastic tables and chairs where they play spades. You can see he's shuffling the cards. There they are walking down the hallways. Trustees. Those are laundry bins. That's what it looks like from the top. Yeah, he's got a pillow. So yeah, he's going back to a cushy cell with a pillow, which I've never seen before. Found that interesting. I never had a pillow. I bet the Gonzalez are going to be very involved in the re-election in the future. I bet so too. I wonder if they run, he won't be living like that in prison. Well, it's better in prison usually, but I don't know. I think Brian Kohberger planned to switch his plea once he saw discovery. You think so? Don't pre-incriminate myself, right? Well, you would look up your local congressman's phone number to what area you're in, and you could call them. Not necessarily about this. You could call that Judge Hippler's office. They all have an office with a public phone number. It has to be public, and that's the whole point. Like, you're supposed to, as a constituent or a person of that state, that county, that district, be able to call and voice your opinions. Yeah. Prison is a cross between a dorm room and a summer camp. Yep. It was very tone deaf, and it pissed me off too. For him to be coming out about phone calls, which is his job to take anyway.
Have been by the loss of these 4 beautiful kids. And so I can understand that there have been some calls and messages as well. I mean, look at those faces. Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, Kaylee Gonzalez, prime of their lives. Beautiful, beautiful kids. And this is what it's come to. My great thanks to Steve Gonzalez and Shannon Gray, who has been his rock. I know, Shannon, you called Steve a rock. You've also been Steve's rock. Steve, we're here for you. You know that we're going to continue to follow this. We're going to continue to support you as well. And I can't say it enough. We give you our condolences always, but we also send you our love as best we can from where we are in your moment of grief. Thank you for doing this and sharing this with us. I so appreciate it.
Thank you for your microphone and your audience, because without it, we'd just be crazies that nobody would ever listen to.
Well, we're listening, and we will continue to listen. And Brian Enton, amazing work, incredible coverage, and he will continue to be on this case as well. To all 3 of you, my heartfelt thanks for this evening. I do appreciate it so much.
Thank you for watching.
Whoa, geez Louise, why are you screaming? Okay, Bazard, I was reading your comment. I was wondering, do you mean like they did with Bundy, where they came to him and questioned him about the BAU or behavioral analysis unit came to Bundy and questioned him about how to catch, I think it was BTK. He said, would be crazy if this was something BK wanted to happen to make everyone deal with his time on when certain things happen that relate to him. Is that what you were saying? I was wondering. I don't know that we can say he knew any of them. There's a possibility, but it hasn't been etched in stone, Mercedes. Holly said, I really feel the prosecution had the case. They promised the families they would not offer a deal, but they didn't hesitate to accept one. Why go this far just to throw in the towel? Great question. Possibly in my mind because he wanted to retire. Okay, you asked me about the teacher speaking, his professor. That is in this playlist. We can watch it again. I played it the other day. It's titled, I Was Completely Floored. Kohberger's professor joins Brian something, the guy we just saw for like a 12-minute interview. I can try to skip to where she speaks if y'all want to watch it.
You mentioned
Oh, I think she speaks pretty much through the whole thing. We played it the other day. Do y'all want to watch it again? Hey, Joe. Good to see you. You have many things to say about this? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Well, I can play it again if y'all want me to. Let me know while I get it pulled back up. If not, we'll continue on the new things in the playlist. I don't know who else here that saw it already. We also have, let me pull it back up, how Brian Kohberger got caught. This probably very disappointing to the investigators as well, probably. Something like that, or allegedly, or he wanted to play a twisted game with all parties involved in the case. Most serial killers of his intellect would love playing games with others. I think so. Okay, so I'll go ahead and play it. Oh, I was like, where did it go?
mentioned, as you may know, she was Brian Kohberger.
Lord.
I want to bring now, though, and we're joined exclusively by her, renowned forensic psychologist, Dr. Catherine Ramsland. As you may know, she was Brian Kohberger's professor and advisor at DeSales University in Pennsylvania. She has not spoken publicly about Brian Kohberger until now. She's been on this show talking about other cases, but she's been very, very careful not to talk about Kohberger because of the trial, because she was going to be a witness at the trial, and she now feels comfortable to open up to us. And we've got so many questions, Dr. Ramsland, that I've got so many questions I've wanted to ask you for so long.
Sarah, did you want to come up? I mean, I know you're working, so I didn't know if you were saying you wanted to come up or not. Dandy Lioness said there's a docu-series coming out July 11th. The kids who called 911 are in it. That's going to be interesting.
I want to start with, how did you first meet Brian Kohberger? What classes of yours was he in?
Okay, I want to be just clear that I'm still within the FERPA limitations that protect students and student information. So I will talk within that.
Okay.
I met him in the fall of 2018 when he came to DeSales University. He had an associate's degree and he was going to get into our 4-year program as a psychology major. He selected the forensic track, which made him an advisee for me because I managed the forensic track. And he was also in my class that semester.
And Dr. Ramsland talks about FERPA. I should have mentioned that there's a law. It's a federal law, I believe.
So I dropped the link for you, Bazard. Mercedes said, yeah, first establish the protection of his rights. Right. We need to make sure his rights are protected in all aspects. I think we will see more things after they can speak about it. Me too. It's going to be on Prime Video. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for that. I might look at it and see what we can gain from it.
That she is not allowed to talk about certain aspects of a student, their grades, certain parts of their academic life. It's almost like a HIPAA. So she's going to tell us what she can, but unless Brian Kohberger signs off, she's legally not allowed to talk about certain elements of his academic career. So just keep that in mind if there's some things that Dr. Ramsland can't answer. What was your perception of him?
He seemed like eager to be in the classroom. He was polite. He was respectful, intense, and curious. And
She says intense and curious there, which is weird to me because, again, when he is admitting to these crimes that he has committed, he's not intense at all. Very monotone, very not curious. So I don't know. It makes me feel jaded, just like the parents of the children. Yeah, maybe he can catch up on his reading. Or maybe he can join one of the prison programs to further his education. Yay. Hey, Bazard, how are you?
Can you hear me, Alleged?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, something's going on with my voice.
Okay, I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me. Try to go out and come back in. I'll type it in back chat.
there was no reason for me to think that he was anything other than someone who was really interested in this potential career.
Was there anything looking back now that was strange about him or that you noticed?
When I look back, there really isn't anything that stood out to me. I think when you're a teacher, your instinct is to accept students at face value. You don't, start with suspicions or, and there really weren't any red flags. He was always really quite respectful and grateful. He would thank me for things. He was attentive. He would do the work. I didn't have any concerns.
So, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I don't know if it was on my end or your end.
Okay, I'm sorry if it was. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. I had a decent shift yesterday and just chilling before I gotta do another one tonight.
Oh, wow. Always working, making that money.
I gotta do what you gotta do in this day and age.
No doubt. Um,
But
Danny.
mhm.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Let's see.
Oh, you're cutting out. I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yep, take 2 steps to the left, 3 steps to the right. Yeah, I can hear you
Let's
better
see.
now.
Am I good? Okay.
Yeah. So what were you gonna say?
No, I would say you can what Dan was gonna say.
Okay, Dandelion has said, I'd like to know how different his demeanor is from class to courtroom, or if there's a change at all. And I found it interesting that she was talking about how attentive he was, how, he would say thank you, he did the work and all of that. It seems like he's a very polite person in classroom and not monotone and just no emotion at all like he was in the courtroom. I think there is a stark difference between his demeanor in the two places, honestly. That's just my opinion.
I can see that, like, because of the class and the subject that he was interested in, he would be more active and I guess you can say coming off as friendly, for the
Mm.
most part. But then in his personal life, it's just, for what I can't even talk. From what we saw yesterday, if that's really him, then that's really who he is. This monotone, straightforward kind of talking person.
Yeah. I don't think it is. Donna said he thrives on his control even in court, and it seems that way.
That's why that's why in the chat I was like, I don't know for sure, but in my opinion, I feel that either this is a game to him, of course. Like I said, with most of these kind of killers, there's always a game playing with people and all this crap. But then it's also like what you were saying. Was he thinking of wanting to be like Ted Bundy and BTK, where they always will be famous and yeah, they'll be stuck in one location for the rest of their lives, or unless they get the death penalty. But they'll be famous and people want to research them and talk about them forever. So in a way, they do kind of, in a sick, twisted way, win because they will be immortalized forever, even after they're long gone.
Yeah. I think Bundy was put to death, but BTK is still alive, I think. Yeah, BTK is still
Yeah.
alive. I think Bundy's deceased. I could be wrong though. But yeah,
No,
he's forever.
Bundy was executed like, oh, I want to say either it was the early or kind of mid 80s, something like
Yep.
that.
Yep, down
Hmm.
in Florida. And he's still immortalized to this day. Charles
Hmm.
Manson was alive until, I don't know, a couple years ago at least.
Yeah.
And he was
Yeah.
still immortalized.
Hmm. There's
Yeah.
movies made about them, TV shows. So there was the Netflix series about Jeffrey Dahmer, which I was kind of split. Like I actually did like how they did the story, but I mean, of course, they dramatized certain things. But I thought it was an interesting take on probably what Jeffrey was like, and he really was this really pathetic, sad, lonely, in my personal opinion, serial killer. But it was
Mhm.
just like this type of stuff is never gonna leave. And I mean, I see, Ashley Banfield and everyone else was, they'll say their things about how he's a loser and everything. And I agree, but it's like, but look, we're still talking about these guys. It doesn't, or females. We'll still talk about these people even after they're long gone, and we hate them. But it's like, well, we keep talking about them because human beings, for whatever reason, were just fascinated by serial killers.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guilty of that myself. You said when you Google BTK, let's see, Brian Kohberger comes up.
Oh yeah, now. Hmm.
So I did see David Berkowitz, Richard Speck, Edmund Kemper, and Gary Ridgway. It's not showing up on my end. Let me
I thought
try
I saw in the
Jennifer.
first. Oh no, I
What?
thought I saw something that was talking about him. Yeah, never mind.
Oh, okay. Wow, he was active from 1974, and okay, at least 10 people in Wichita City and Park City, Kansas, between 1974 and 1991. Wow,
Hmm. Hmm.
wow. Okay.
And these are just the ones that we caught, of course, and we know who they are. And then, unfortunately, there's still. I know the FBI says that they believe it's like in the dozens, but I personally believe there's like at least in the hundreds of serial killers
Oh
out
yeah.
there, active ones right now.
Oh yeah. There's this movie, and yeah, I'm not seeing Brian as of right now, but there was this movie called Suspect Zero. And it y'all, it was from way back when, I was watching bootleg movies on a DVD player because I was in active addiction, and that was what we did. I mean, we just had a DVD player and watched movies, and this guy, we lived in an apartment in downtown, and we lived above these shops, and there was this guy, like, we literally lived on Main Street in, like, the apartment above the shop, and there was this guy that would sell bootleg DVDs, and I got this DVD from him, and it was called Suspect Zero, and it was about the FBI using like the guy that sees thing like MK Ultra did a lot on it. What is it called? Remote viewing. So this guy was remote viewing a active serial killer who was a truck driver who drove back and forth across the United States, and he didn't have any set victim pattern. He would kidnap children and kill them, old ladies, old men, it didn't matter, young people, it didn't matter. And he was active, and the FBI could never catch him because he didn't have a distinct victim pattern. And they said that statistically there's anywhere between like 10 and 30 active serial killers in the United States. And I think that would be like the main way to do it if you were a truck driver or something like that. Hey, Minion and Penny.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard of that. I've never seen that movie, but I love crime drama stuff, anyways, and horror stuff. So I would definitely look up that. But they always, I know that's something I've always heard for many years when I was definitely in some of my criminal courses when I was in college years ago. And but I always would ask the professor or the instructor, like, do you honestly believe that at least the number was like in the dozens? Like, do you believe it's really in the dozens, or could it be possibly now in the hundreds? And in my personal opinion, it's at the very least here in America, at least hundreds. I think there are hundreds of them.
Yep.
I can't say what particular number in the hundreds, but it's hundreds.
Yep.
And of course, they're in each part of the states, and that I've always had that idea that probably a lot of serial killings that we know of, or cases that investigators are investigating now, could be like that. Whereas certain killers that they don't stick to the same what do you call it? I can't even say it. Operators or hand-eye. Thank you. I can't even say that.
Op-
They'll.
Amber, what did you say you cut out? I'm sorry.
It's opera. How do you say it again? Opera Miranda. I'm butchering it right now.
Oh, yeah.
The-
I know what you're trying to
Mhm.
say. I can't say it either.
But yeah, like I've always heard that there were probably killers like that where they would make it to where you wouldn't know if it was this particular serial killer or another one because they just change their tactics. They go after anyone. They don't care if you're young, old, male,
Mhm.
female. It's like to them, it's like of course like a game. But that's the
Yep.
thing that I guess with this case at least you have to be more. Maybe people be more aware and cautious about how they do certain things and how you realize you interact with certain people because they could be a serial killer. It's just well, I don't know. I mean, no one really knew that he would become one from what his instructor is saying and everything. Like, she
Yeah.
could never suspect that. So
It's
I don't
interesting to
know.
see the
Mhm.
ones that get caught and how different they are and their different ways of doing things.
Mhm.
What I think it was 4 classes that you taught him in. What were those classes?
There were 3 undergraduate courses in the forensic track that I taught, and he was in all of them. Well, one was forensic introduction to forensic psychology. Another was my death investigation class, which was called psychological sleuthing. And the third one was called Dangerous Minds, the psychology of antisocial behavior. And then he got into the graduate program in criminal justice for a master's degree. And he took a course with me called behavioral criminology.
Is there anything, Dr. Ramsland, when you look back and you think about the curriculum of those classes, and not getting into his specific experience, but when you think about what you taught in those classes that you think, oh my gosh, he may have used that in what he's now accused of doing here in Idaho?
Well, the antisocial behavior course involves serial killers and mass murderers, and we do a lot of case analysis. I use two books that I wrote. One was written with the BTK killer, whom you just mentioned, and his decision process and the crimes and how he thought about them and felt about them, and what was it like for him, to be caught. So that's a very intense book. And also I have one called The Mind of a Murderer, which was about various behavioral experts over the past century who interviewed killers, mass murderers, and serial killers to get as close as possible, spending a lot of time with them to get as close as possible to their process of becoming a criminal. And so he would have been exposed to that. I think now looking back, I would look at maybe some of the things that interested him as being, something that gives me pause. But we always have to think about, we all know, everyone in this field, forensic psychology and criminology, know that we could have students who might become offenders.
So, to reiterate more on what she's saying there, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a questionnaire that he did for school that asked about, like, have you ever committed a crime? How did you feel when you committed that crime? What kind of emotions ran through your body when you committed that crime and things like that? So maybe that's what's giving her pause. Like, what does it feel like? Hey, Brenda, thank you for being thumbs up 100. What does it feel like to commit a crime? Do you get any emotional rush from it? I mean, I really feel like maybe Brian Kohberger had an issue feeling anything, and that's why he did this, to try
Mhm.
to feel something.
Well, with the I forgot what was the thing that he was having issues with, that visual snow whatever thing. Yeah, like I can see that as something where he put that questionnaire out there because he's trying to see relate to other people that are, I mean, for God's sake, I don't know how many people are like him or people like I guess serial killer types, but at the very least there's got to be several amount of people where they either know it or they don't know it, and then they're trying to see and put out stuff to see what it's like to be like someone else like them. That's what I think. Maybe that's why he did that.
You think so?
Because unless it was just like for the class, the paperwork. I mean, that was a very. Now that I think about it, now it's like very specific type of like questionnaire he did, and it does seem like maybe it was like a what do you call it, a call for help or call for assistance or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless of the class, like it seems to me, having taken some college classes, I mean, just for nursing, but it seems to me
Mhm.
like maybe he was tasked to come up with a specific questionnaire pertaining to something that he was either interested in and writing. Well, I think it was something he was interested in and writing a paper on specifically.
Mhm.
And so basically, you get a general genre like committing a crime. Okay, now I want you to dig deeper into that and go more into basically something specifically related to committing a crime and
Mhm.
write a paper or do a questionnaire on that. So he chose something that interested him, which was the feelings and emotions that you get from committing a crime, which again is just weird to me. I do believe it was 100% for school and all that. It's just I think he chose
Mhm.
basically the topic.
'Cause I remember I took, like I said, I took several criminal courses, classes. I took several courses and, I mean, we've maybe I'm trying to remember, it's been years ago, but it was maybe something somewhat similar to what
Uh-huh.
she was describing, but just really thinking about it, like, we never had it to where the questionnaire would basically ask, like, "Well, how would you feel?" And I never thought about it like that at the time, so maybe it
Yeah,
was for school, but I still
maybe.
feel like it probably was, a personal thing for him.
Mhm. Yeah, and even I agree, and that's amazing that you took those kind of classes, so I'm sure you have a lot of insight on it.
It it was, like, basic. I was from what I can remember, 'cause I originally was going to school for, I actually wanted to be a police officer, but I was taking criminal justice, courses, and from what I can remember, it was kind of just basic stuff,
Yeah.
but we did have some sort of questionnaires for a test years ago, kinda in that ballpark, but it just wasn't as much as detailed as what he was doing.
Right.
But we also know that the vast majority of our students will not, and will instead go into a field like law enforcement, FBI, Secret Service, that make the world better, that protect us. So we know that there's always a risk that we're attracting somebody who wants to do something terrible. Hoping we won't ever have that, but in my case, I did.
Can you say, Dr. Ramsland, what it was looking back now that sort of raises your eyebrows specifically in terms of things in the class?
I think just the idea of wanting to study offenders and what their thought process was, how they felt about their crimes, wanting to study that, and then finding out that this is a person who then is now.
I mean, but anybody going in that class is gonna wanna study serial killers and gonna wanna know
Mhm.
more about them and their crimes, not necessarily the feelings aspect of it. That's why I think that it was more about trying to feel an emotion that he couldn't make himself feel. But other than that, I mean, that's not out of the ordinary. So it was definitely something else that she doesn't want to share, I think.
It's possible. I just had a thought, like, um, with this particular case, and what if now people just realize? I mean, I think I feel like I've always known or told people you can't really say um, this profession or person in this profession cannot be a serial killer because they could be anyone. But I think this might be a good, I would say good, but you know what I mean, like an example of maybe people being more aware that it doesn't matter if you're a teacher or a student or whatever you want to do in life. Someone that's your coworker could possibly just be a serial killer. It
Yeah.
just that whatever they're in that profession for whatever reason, but maybe this will, I don't know, maybe people kind of. But then I've always thought too, like I guess people get more paranoid if it was like, oh, I don't know, maybe you're a serial killer, Ledge, or maybe I'm a serial killer. It's like you just, I don't know, you just become so paranoid when it's like,
Yeah. Yeah, y'all have no idea what I do when I moonlight. Hold on, let me show y'all something.
see.
See, I have 3 geese and they go around with a knife just like this.
Look at that. See?
That's us in the middle of the night. Here we go. There we go. That's what I do at night. That's why I'm always sleepy. No, but seriously, you don't know. And I don't want people to be paranoid about things like that. You don't know. I mean, anybody is capable of anything, right? Exactly.
And that's I think that explains why I was interested in initially going to college for that. I just was always fascinated by that kind of stuff. Like, and yeah, I guess I always kind of think about maybe if I did stick to it, maybe I would have been not in the field that he was trying to do. Because I think wasn't he was trying to be more was it more like forensics, or I guess kind of what his professor was doing, more like studying people and all that other kind of stuff. But like I said, my dream idea was be either in the law enforcement or I believe it was FBI. That was my dream job when I was
Yeah.
younger.
Yeah. That would be cool. Hey, Sarah. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
See, yes.
Perfect. Hey, so I only have a few minutes because I had to take care of something before I came on up. But the thing is, I'm going to school for the forensic psychology stuff. And, I really love, I like Kathleen Ramsland because she's very, she does study this stuff and she's very good. Like I've read a couple of her books and she's very into studying the mind of a serial killer. Like I understand why people are kind of put off because she did seem very giddy, and they're like, why is she so giddy? Like I was listening to Jay and I love Jay is for Justice. She's one of the ones I listen to on a regular basis. And I understand where she was coming from completely. Like, why is she so giddy? But you have to understand that, there are people that do study these horrible, horrible people to understand the why, the causes, what happened in their life. Because, in a lot of opinions of psychologists, serial killers are, they're not necessarily born. Like might be some genetics and everything that might lead to different disorders and everything. But honestly, a lot of times it's what happens in one's life that makes them, have less empathy, have these personality disorders that makes them able to shut off their empathy and have, this, apathetic kind of personality towards other people and want to do horrible things. And, and I remember Jay was saying, what has it done? She asked, what has it helped? And honestly, I think it does help because knowing, the possible things that these people have gone through in their life. And, I'm not saying, I feel bad for what they've done. I always say I have empathy for the child that went through the trauma, but not the person who committed the crime. And, you see these signs, a lot of them have brain injuries that affect their frontal lobe, that have turn off their emotions, turn off their decision making. And if you can spot this stuff at a young age, if you can work with them at a young age and see, catch these things, you could have prevented one of these people from doing a horrible thing. Even if you prevent a few people from doing something horrible like Brian Kohberger did, that's definitely a win. Anything, any prevention is a win because you don't know what people are going to do.
Right.
Like you were just saying, anybody could be a serial killer, like what do you moonlight doing at night kind of thing. But
Yeah.
anybody can be a horrible person and us not know it because some people are very good at compartmentalizing. That's a big thing. It's a compartmentalization. It's a skill that's very important for people to do in their everyday lives with their jobs. If somebody's got a very stressful job, they have to be able to do that. But some people take it to another level and have different personalities, like Dennis Rader. Like, I refuse to call him BTK because he gave himself that name and he's a complete bumble ass.
Yeah.
I can't stand the guy. I call him effing Dennis, fucking Dennis. I won't even give him that, glory of referring to him as his chosen, nickname. But, his family was completely caught off guard when they found out who he really was. Like, according to his daughter, Carrie Rawson, who I absolutely love, she's an advocate, and she's one of those people that are like, remember that you need to treat, the families of these horrible people may not be the victims in the same way, but they're still victims.
Right.
They have lost a family member. This family member is, if these family members have nothing to do with what their brother, son, sister, whatever had done, if they had truly have nothing to do with it, they are truly victims because they were being fooled all this time. And it's like mourning in a way. You may not be mourning somebody's death per se, but you're mourning the person that you thought they were.
Right.
And that is, if Brian Kohberger's parents and family had nothing to do with this, they are victims. And they may not be in the same way, but they don't deserve to be treated with, all this hatred, because people can be great parents. And if somebody, I don't know his childhood, I really haven't looked into that personally, but if they were decent parents, they raised him right, as far as they thought, but he just had something different in his brain that ticked differently and he chose a different path, they would have never known if he kept it such a secret.
Yeah, like Dahmer.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Dahmer was a quirky dude. Like, most people just thought he was quirky. He was a different guy. He was eccentric, he was closet, he was closet with his homosexuality, and that, back then it was shameful for some people. It wasn't like today where more people embrace it like we do. But back then it was, families looked more shameful upon it. And his mom, she had mental issues that may have went to him. She was on all kinds of pills when she was pregnant that she shouldn't have been on, and her parents had a very tumultuous relationship. But a lot of that, there's a lot of people who go through that and never become killers.
Right.
So it's like, that's why I love so much, like I always say, I love forensic psychology, because it's like, I want to know what makes these people take this path versus other people who have been through similar things that become, are perfectly normal functioning, human beings. I use normal loosely because we're normal, but we don't, as far as not hurting others in such ways. So it's like, it's like almost like you have to figure out what happened to these people, because like I said, I don't feel bad whatsoever for the awful the things that they did, the person that did this awful heinous crime. But like, the kid that may have been abused, like Gacy was badly abused, and you know what I mean? It's like, what brought you to this moment of, killing these people or hurting these people, while somebody that went through, horrible things, was abused and manipulated and had brain injuries, but they never hurt a fly. So, you know what I mean? It's just that's what Catherine Ramsland and other, John Douglas, another OG profiler for, with psychology and everything. These are the people that, these are a lot of people, some people are like, love rock stars or, pop artists and stuff as their idols. These are my people that I'm just like, I fangirl over because it's like they have the same type of mindset I do because they're so curious and what makes these people tick, what makes them do what they do, so we can maybe help other people in the future not do these things, catch this stuff and redirect them and give them the therapy that they need before they become monsters. Because I think a lot of this can be prevented if it's caught. Maybe Kohberger went through something horrible when he was young that made him take this path. And if it was caught, maybe we would have never heard his name if he would have gotten therapy for such thing. Like I said, I don't know his childhood, and nowadays we're a lot more proactive with childhood trauma and brain injuries and, even concussions. Like the concussion protocol nowadays is so much more, proactive nowadays than it used to be. Like my ex-husband, he's a little quirky with some of his, mental issues, but he's had like several concussions. You know what I mean? So it's like, like anything like that, it's like, what could you have done? As far as I know, he's not one of these people, but it's like what, nowadays, like they understand more, and that's because of the research they've done. And I think, Catherine is a little quirky and, maybe she's a little too giddy to make people feel uncomfortable that don't, aren't really in that same mindset. Like, we can study this and learn from this, and we can hopefully help others in the future by figuring this out, because I feel like Kohberger is one of those who at one point, I think he might talk. And once he gets, settled into his hopefully hellish new existence, that might be something that he can negotiate with, because that's what they do when your life in prison. Like when they interviewed Ed Kemper and they interviewed like Mindhunter's amazing. I love that show because they depicted a lot of this, like talking to different serial killers. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not to glorify these people. Sometimes you might have to get them comfortable. So you might have to talk to them a certain way. I mean, that's the art of psychology. It is an art. It is, if it's used right, for the right reasons, because some people use it for the wrong reasons, but you use it for the right reasons, you can do amazing things with amazing research. And that's like my future mission, is to help people, not, to glorify these horrible people. It's just to understand better the way they think and try to, like, maybe prevent more and be able to intervene more with people that go through things.
Yeah, and I've been on a similar pathway trying to kind of understand the way the reasons people do things. Somebody specifically, but I wanted to tell you guys because I saw what some of you were saying, and I wanted to show you this real quick. It reads that serial killers may exhibit brain differences. For example, they may lack empathy, guilt, and shame. Brain scans of incarcerated individuals involved in homicides show reduced gray matter compared to those individuals in other offenses. These extreme forms of violence may result from a complex interaction of biological, psychological, and sociological factors, and some killers may have neurodevelopmental disorders such as autism spectrum disorder or head injury. So there is a science behind all of this, and it's actually really interesting if you look into it.
Absolutely. Like you look at like CTE, it's like chronic encephalitis or chronic traumatic encephalitis, something, like Aaron, or what was his name, the football player, when he
Aaron
passed away.
Rodriguez?
yeah, when he passed away, they looked at his brain and they saw how just could from all of the injuries he's had, just how his brain was completely like, because unfortunately with CTE, most of the time it can't be diagnosed until after death. I don't know if they've come further with the brain scans and everything, but you know, it's just your brain is just completely destroyed when you've got so many injuries like that, and then it like starts rewiring itself. Like the human brain is so fascinating, and it can be a lot of that's not all of it, but some of it can be reversed. Like head injuries are a different story thing, but like with trauma and everything, there's so many different like cognitive behavior therapy and stuff like that that can help reverse that damage that has been done by emotional trauma. It's just we have to, you know, see those signs and encourage people to get that kind of help. Like, you know, I know I've had, a lot of us have had trauma, and seeing a therapist and doing all this is so helpful, you know, just knowing that, being mindful of that, okay, there is a problem and I'm going to work on it. And that is like the first step that, you know, so many people can take, but not everybody has that ability. They're either too far gone, or they don't think there's something wrong, or they don't have the ability to do so. But with this research and everything, it's like this guy's going to be locked up for the rest of his life regardless.
Yeah.
Just like Dennis Rader. Why not try to figure some stuff out? Not glorify him. You know, he's a piece of shit. He killed people. He's a horrible, horrible human, but find out why. You know, that's why I think you know, Ramsland is very like almost seems giddy, because it's like we have another like a person that we can try to learn from, not in a glorified way. It's like a fine line. It's a double-edged sword, because some people are going to be like, oh, you're just glorifying them, but like, no, we're just trying to help others in the future. And you know, because if, like I said before, if these people that have done horrible things, maybe if there's some kind of understanding or intervention done previously, maybe we would have never heard their names. You know, if more was understood, if they were more mindful. There's just so much, like, just so many different things in life that take you in different directions. And maybe one little intervention could have completely changed the whole path.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't want him to be glorified.
No, he's a piece of shit. No glorification right there. Like, I agree completely. He's a dirt ball. Like, he's like the lowest of low. He did a horrible thing. And I think honestly, like, he probably did the guilty plea because he saw that evidence stacking up against him. And he's just like, I don't want to die. Part of it could have been like his own selfish, like, well, you know, I can either risk a trial, probably be put on death row, even though from what I've heard, this is what I heard from that other show that I listened to. It's called True Crime Squad. It's done by a pair of completely delightful sisters from Idaho, who I listened to because they had a lot of great insight on Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, because one of them actually lives in Rexburg and one lives close, and they're former LDS, so they had great insight. And I recommend them totally, because they're fun to watch too. And they said that they live in Idaho, and they're like, they did the research and they said that Idaho isn't very quick about putting people to death that are even on death row. Like, they said that the chances of they'll be shocked if Chad Daybell actually makes it to the execution, you know, because he'll probably just die an old man in prison, because they're just not quick about it. They're kind of, you know, let them sit and rot kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
going back
Well,
to what you were
ladies, I'm about to say I'm gonna have to head out, but it was nice to be on panel for a quick sec.
Yeah, Bazzer, good to talk to you.
Yeah, I appreciate you
Same.
coming up.
Well, you two and everyone else, enjoy the rest of your day. And like I said, happy 4th Eve, everyone. But
Happy
celebrate tomorrow.
Independence Day.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hope you enjoy your Independence Day.
I shall. All right. Take care.
All right. And I too, unfortunately, I'm sorry that I rambled, but like I said, I only had a little bit of time because I'm on lunch. I'm at work, sitting in the car. So I do have to go back in, and I appreciate everybody for listening to my rambles.
Oh, you're good. Thank you for coming up. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you were amazing, and I love you, and I love all you guys in chat and listening. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful Independence Day tomorrow. Safe. Don't blow any, digits off or anything.
Yeah. And I love you too.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Cara said Brian thought he committed the perfect crime and it would be discussed for years to come. People living in fear in that area and others speculating for years about who did it. However, he left way too much evidence. I agree. I was looking up, I don't want to glorify Brian either, but I get into the sociology or the psychological, the psychology behind the stuff too. And is there anything to be learned from Brian? I was wondering how many autistic serial killers we'd have, because if he does indeed have autism, is there a correlation? And we have these three. I know that's one of the shooters, but I can't think of who these two are. So it says the study found 28% of killers who were thought to have suffered, I'm assuming from autism, something, I don't know. 28% of high profile killers were thought to have suffered from autism spectrum disorder. So there technically is other serial killers out there that have suffered from autism that we could learn from instead of Brian. I do kind of understand a bit more about why his teacher might have been a little bit of, excited to learn about it more. But I don't think Kaylee's dad is going to let anything like that happen. I think that he will make sure that nobody talks to Brian and nobody tries to learn from Brian because of what I read that J for Justice posted. And at the end of the day, I do think Brian wants to be studied. I think that was his goal, part of it the whole time. There's a lot to be cautious of when trying someone for capital murder. In just one incident, but four, a lot could go wrong. A lot could go wrong in any of his appeals later on. That's very true. And he did. He left too much evidence and 2 eyewitnesses. Absolutely.
Saying he's guilty of doing these things, I have to look at the framework of what I taught and wonder, did I inspire him in some way? Did I, but I can't second guess that, because I may have inspired somebody else to become an FBI agent. And that's, unfortunately, in this field, that's what we live with.
I mean, you've been studying serial killers most of your life, but when you talk about the fact that you may have, what you taught may have inspired this, that's got to be hard for you to process, I would imagine.
It's terrible, very hard. And it's not just what happened to the victims. I really thought Brian Kohberger was a promising student who really could have made a mark in this career in a very positive way. I thought that. So disappointed, angry, and very shocked that this is who he turned out to be, and horrified for the victims and their families. Just horrified. I mean, I worked with Dennis Rader closely for 5 years. I met the victims' families. I saw the devastation that these kinds of acts can have. And I have to always keep that in mind when I'm teaching these subjects.
What did you think when you first heard that Brian Kohberger, your former student, was arrested for this?
I was completely floored. I didn't believe it. And his demeanor that we saw on media was that he was confident that he was going to be able to prove his innocence. So I wanted to wait and see. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. But as months go by and he kept saying that he had an alibi, and I wondered, well, why are you sitting in jail? Give us your alibi, get out. and that wasn't happening. And then it was really when he said his alibi, and it was clearly not an alibi, and he would have known that, certainly from all the classes that he had through undergraduate and graduate work. He would have understood that wasn't really an alibi. I think that was when I was really, floored that this is my student who has done these things.
You mentioned, you studied BTK, the serial killer.
So I do see both sides of what you guys are saying. I mean, to be fair, he had other criminology teachers as well. I think there's just a correlation because she specifically is intrigued by it. And she, references studying BTK because those things interest her.
Met with him many times in prison. This is what you do in a hope to prevent these things from further happening and understand the mind of a serial killer. Would you want to study Brian Kohberger? Have you put any thought into that? Is that something that you think could be possible?
I've been thinking about that for 2.5 years. I would. This is my work. If he wanted to do that, I would. And within the framework of this is what we do to try to look at developmental trajectories, the triggers, so that we can see the red flags faster. We can prevent people like this from wreaking the havoc that they do. So,
and that goes back to what Sarah was just saying, that it's not necessarily idolizing them, even though the perception is that way. It's more of a learning what the factors are, because like I pulled up just a second ago, there is a correlation between gray matter and brain activity and serial killers, frontal lobe damage, trauma as a child. There is something in them that makes them do these things, because not everybody that has frontal lobe damage does these things. Not everybody that has trauma does these things. So trying to understand what causes it and catches it from the beginning is what I think people are seeking to do and learn. And even though it may be perceived as ideology of the person, it's not meant to be that way.
if he wanted to do that, I know that he's got the intellectual capacity to do it, to be self-reflective, to help think through how his life came to this. And so I would definitely do it if he were willing. And it would be hard. But I think because I have so much material from him, I have questions for him that I think nobody else but me could ask.
Real McCoy, always making a profound entrance, said Coward Kohberger getting whacked just like Dahmer did. You think so? It's good to see you, Real McCoy. You always make a grand entrance. Dainty Dane said it's called demons. It's demons. That's in them. You think so? I don't know. I think in order to have demons, you have to have a respect for good and evil, God and the devil. I don't know that he is religious at all. I really think he wanted to feel something. He wanted to feel something, and that's what he chose to do, to try to feel something. I think he can't feel anything.
And just my last question, Dr. Ramsland, you are the person that I think of who, if anyone could see through someone and see that they have a secret side, I would think it would be you, because this has been your life's work, and trying to figure that out. And in a sense, it almost feels like Brian Kohberger even had you fooled.
Well, I study the ones who are really good at it, because I want to really try to understand what can we see in the constellation of behaviors that will tip us off earlier. Because people who are really good at passing as normal and keeping their dark side hidden can fool people, can fool all the experts for a long period of time. I think anybody in my field will tell you they can be duped by a really skillful, predatory type of person. So, I'm not going to say I'm the person who can spot this. I can see things like if you have a rigid personality and you're threatening, those are red flags that are very clear. Or you have a mental instability and you're drawing, violent images. These are things we can see and we can anticipate. But if somebody's presenting themselves as a completely normal human being, engaged in life the way, that according to our expectations, it's really hard to see through that. And as a teacher, I am not initially suspicious that students are there for the wrong reasons. And so I think some of us have what I would call a cognitive disadvantage, because we are giving the benefit of the doubt to students. And I think that's certainly what happened. That's why I would want to work with him and study him, because I want to understand how he was able to completely fool me.
Well, it'll be interesting to see as this moves along.
So that's what she said. I don't know. Make of it what you will. I have a better understanding about it now that Sarah came up and spoke about it, but I understand why people are put off by her as well. Let's see. I got struck for that one, and we've heard quite a bit about Diddy. We can let's change the topic real quick and talk about what happened yesterday with Stephan, because that was a victory for Maddie. So we're gonna watch this video I put out.
Hey y'all, for those of you in the live stream today, I
God,
apologize about having to abruptly end. I had a family emergency.
I hate the way I talk. You think she's nuts? She has 4 children. The third video I sent you. Okay, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to grab it right now while we listen to this. She's at her nursing job caring for patients. Hi, Hannah. I hope you have a good day. Okay, so this is really great information pertaining to the Madeline Soto case, which we cover extensively. We had a win in court for Maddie yesterday, and this video talks about it.
We do have some very urgent breaking news in the Madeline Soto case. So let's discuss that now. So we have this article that was released from the local news station. I do believe it's Click Orlando. So it would be News 6 Orlando. And it reads, state can use Stephan Sters' cell phone to prove he R-worded 13-year-old Madeline Soto, judge rules. That is amazing. That means that all the evidence will be entered into the CSAM trial and Madeline can get justice.
Yeah, I was really happy to hear that, because I was definitely concerned they were going to throw it out. And we've talked about extensively that would mean that there would be no images or videos with him as the abuser in them, because the other images and videos were of other people abusing children, not Stephan Sters specifically. It would have been the whole case.
Under that, it reads sexual battery trial scheduled to begin July 22nd. So while we're talking about that, I'm going to take you to the Osceola County Clerk of Court website. This is Sters' case for the CSAM. As you can see, all the charges right there. Now, for today, they were going to talk about this joint motion to continue. That has not been released yet. I can show you what that is in reference to, because I did request that document and I do have it. Let's jump over to my short real quick. All right, y'all, I have the so far unreleased joint motion to continue. This is the state of Florida versus Stephan Sters. And it reads, comes now the state of Florida by and through the undersigned assistant state attorney and states and alleged as follows. 1. In conferring with opposing counsel, both parties moved to continue this case from its present trial date of July 14th, 2025. 2. The grounds are that the parties are awaiting on rulings from the court on pretrial motions. Additional pretrial motions may be filed, and preparation for trial is contingent on these matters. 3, the parties request an in-court hearing to discuss new trial dates if the motion is to be granted by the court. And Stephan is due in court tomorrow, July 2nd of 2025, and there's your certification that a copy has been sent.
Now, today is July 2nd, 2025, and that has been heard in court.
Now, the Judge Keith Karsten, said that all motions had to be entered by June 30th of 2025. So with them stating that additional pretrial motions may be filed, I mean, that goes against what he told them to do. He told them to have everything in by June 30th of 2025 so he can make a ruling and get them out.
Now, that brings us pretty much up to date. We had been waiting on information about the cell phone. They did have a hearing in court today. It was supposed to be televised, but for whatever reason, it wasn't. So on June 30th, they had an add-on set for July 2nd at 1:30 p.m. before Judge Keith Karsten. Fox 13 News had a notification up, but they never went live. Now, this was entered today, but it has the date of July 1st, and it says order denying defendant's motion to suppress evidence obtained from unlawful searches of cell phone and motion to suppress evidence obtained from unlawful seizure of cell phone. Also, yesterday, July 1st, there's an order denying defendant's motion to suppress evidence obtained from the Google search warrant. For today, July 2nd, it says felony court minutes, order pretrial held, defendant's appearance previously waived, joint motion to continue denied, case to remain set for trial. And then we also have entered today, jury trial set for July 22nd at 9 a.m. before Judge Keith Karsten. That tells me that the judge in this case is ready to get this heard, get it over with, and judge Stephan on all the CSAM he had of Madeline Soto on his phone. Now let's go back to the article. It again reads, state can use Stephan Sters' cell phone to prove he R-worded 13-year-old Madeline Soto, judge rules. Sexual battery trial scheduled to begin July 22nd. It reads, Kissimmee, Florida. Prosecutors can use evidence found on a cell phone and Google Drive belonging to Stephan Sters to prove he raped 13-year-old Madeline Soto. When Sters goes on trial for sexual battery later this month, a judge said on Wednesday. Circuit Court Judge Keith Karsten announced in court that he had denied a defense motion seeking to suppress the cell phone evidence which Sters claimed police had improperly seized from him. It continues, jury selection in the sexual battery trial is scheduled to begin July 22nd, Karsten said. The judge denied a joint motion filed by Sters and prosecutors seeking to delay the trial. And again, that motion is what was just read to you via the short on my page. Sters, age 39, has pleaded not guilty to graping and homiciding Soto, who was the daughter of Sters' former girlfriend. Soto was reported missing on February 26th of 2024 after she failed to show up for class at Hunters Creek Middle School. Sters told police he drove Soto to school that morning. While searching for Soto, investigators said they uncovered images on Sters' phone and Google Drive that showed him R-wording the teen. I'm letting this play because it basically goes through everything that we need to know while I'm grabbing some more documents. I did just find another document on Sters. Hey, Cindy from sunny South Florida. And thank you, Abellis. Yeah, we're going to talk about that because there's a couple of things you sent me I want to talk about with Travis Decker. I'm so scared he will take a plea, but someone told me the prosecutor said that will never happen. You know, they said that in Brian Kohberger's case too. I don't see them giving him a plea deal because there's no reason to. They've got him like hook, line, and sinker. She's one of those people that brings out the worst in me. Donkey gums. Authorities found Soto's body 4 days later in a wooded area near St. Cloud. The teen had been strangled to death, the medical examiner determined. Stearns will be tried for homicide in a separate trial scheduled to begin in September. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty in the homicide case. In his first trial, Stearns is facing 60 criminal charges, including sexual battery on a child under the age of 12, lewd or lascivious molestation, and unlawful possession of materials depicting sexual performance by a child. Prosecutors told the judge the state could call up to 12 witnesses during the sexual battery trial and expect their presentation will take about 4 days. Quickly, again, this was the so their presentation for the trial is going to take about 4 days, they said. Now, and I hope that they seek some kind of help for the jurors in that case, because there's going to be some trauma associated with that. He will take it if given one, because he's real pastry. He is, and he will. He will. Okay, I did just pull this. I'm going to read this before we go into a very horrific reading of what exactly was on the cell phone and what the judge granted to be heard in court. This is the Circuit Court of the Ninth Judicial Circuit in and for Osceola County, and it was Stephan Michael Stearns via the public defender versus the state of Florida. It was a criminal appearance. And it tells us that the jury trial is set for July 22nd at 9 a.m. in courtroom F with Keith Karsten. Now, it is going to take a little while for them to pick their jury. So I would say that we will actually start watching the trial probably the 24th or 25th. Says felony courts minute order pretrial held, defendant's appearance previously waived, joint motion to continue was denied, case to remain set for trial, done and ordered the 2nd day of July 2025 in courtroom F. Keith Karsten signed it. And then it tells you about if you're a person with a disability to do this. So that is basically the court minutes that we saw yesterday from the case entered. Joyce N. Oh my goodness. Thank you so very much for gifting 10 memberships. That was so very sweet and supportive of you. And I really appreciate that. I can't see who they went to as I was on my phone checking emails. But if you were gifted from Joyous N and you are aware you were gifted, please tell Joyous thank you. Thank you so very much, Joyous. That was so awesome and sweet of you. And I will grab the crazy train to pick y'all up on the way to Speculation Station. Thank you so much, Joyous N. That was so amazing and sweet of you. Tom said, I agree, Dainty, but the main thing is he's convicted in the first trial. Then it can be used as aggravating circumstance in the murder trial. And that way he's most likely getting the death penalty. Absolutely. Absolutely. The evidence that they were looking to suppress that will now be definitively allowed in the CSAM trial. I'm going to give you a trigger warning. This is going to be very hard to hear. This warrant was executed by Orange County Detectives Forensic Unit. I was able to search through Stephan's Google account and observe the following videos or images. I'm going to give you a real heavy trigger warning. Because this is, I cannot, there is no way for me to express how bad this is about to get. Okay. So, if you, I don't know how else to say that this is going to be triggering. I don't care who you are. This is going to trigger you. So I'm going to give you a warning here. I would go down there if I could, but I homeschool the kids and Mr. Speculating works. So unfortunately I can't, but I really wish I could go down there to be there for trial. But at least I can stream it for us and we can be there in that way. So, because I like to talk to y'all about it and we like to throw emojis at him. So that's what we're going to do when they have the trial. As the first time I read this, I just had to stop. It tells us the file name. Description: video file depicting a prepubescent female resembling Maddie, who would have been, I think 5 years and a couple months old. I'm not sure. It's redacted. Says X months old. Maddie is laying next to Stephan in a bed watching cartoons on the television. Stephan is asking Maddie to put his member in her mouth for 3 seconds as he counts. Stephan states Maddie would not be able to play with the phone unless she did it. That one's hard because she was so little. God. She was 7 or 8. And just hearing that him say to her, put my member in your mouth, and that's not what he said. I'm just putting it politely. Or you won't be able to watch fucking cartoons. Fucking oh my God, what is it? The fucking Fairly Odd Parents, fucking Nickelodeon, fucking iCarly. I don't know. These shows probably aren't on anymore. SpongeBob SquarePants. In order to continue to watch SpongeBob SquarePants, little child, you have to put my member in your mouth for 3 seconds and count. Like, I can't. It's so. That first one is always the worst to me. Almighty. Next file. Oh, man. Next description, it says Madeline is approximately, I don't know how old. Stephan is inserting his finger into her front butt while she appears to be sleeping. The next description is an image file depicting Madeline approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his penis into Madeline's mouth while she appears to be sleeping. I think it's important to hear this because, again, this is what the defense was trying to throw out to protect their client. Thank God the judge said no. Next image depicts Madeline approximately X old. Stephan is inserting his member into her mouth while she appears to be sleeping. Next file depicts Maddie at approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his member into her mouth while she is underneath a blanket. The next file depicts Maddie approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his member into Madeline's vagina. Identity is confirmed by a small birthmark that is right above her anus. The same mark is seen on several other photographs of Maddie. That's unredacted. I always thought that it was a mark on her face. I never seen the word anus in this before. So that's now unredacted. The next description is Madeline approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his member into Madeline's anus. Madeline's identity is confirmed by a small birthmark that is right above her anus. The same birthmark is seen in several other photographs of Maddie. Description, image file depicting Maddie approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his member into Madeline's mouth while she appears to be sleeping. The next image is Madeline approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his member into Madeline's anus. Madeline's identity is confirmed by a small birthmark that is right above her anus. The same mark is seen in several other photographs of Maddie. Next one, description file depicting Maddie approximately X years old. Stephan is inserting his member into Madeline's vagina. Madeline's identity is confirmed by a small birthmark that is right above her anus. The same mark is seen in several other photographs of Maddie. There were hundreds of other images containing Maddie within Stephan's Google account, with most of them depicting sexual activity. A copy of Stephan's Google account was submitted into evidence. This supplement will be forwarded to the state attorney's office. Oh my God. Just to reiterate that and give you an idea of the astronomical amount of information that was on that Google Drive, on that phone that they were trying to suppress, we're going to look at his charges. So he has 8 counts of sexual battery on a child under 12, 5 counts of sexual battery with a child 12 to 18. So there's going to be 8 separate times that he recorded himself battering Madeline when she was under the age of 12. There is 5 times that he recorded or took pictures of himself battering Madeline when she was older than 12. We've got 7 counts of lewd or lascivious molestation, and I'm not even going to count all of those, but that's what I want to go through. It's 21 through 60, and all of them are unlawful possession of materials depicting sexual performance by a child. Each count is 10 or more images. Each count, okay? That is 39 counts of same charge, okay? And for each of the 39 counts, there is at least 10 images, if not more. Because the statute, like the charge, would be 10 or more images for, like, you can have, I think normally it would be written 1 image, 2 image, 3 image, 4 image, but for each one of these, it was at least 10, maybe more images. And I think these are all going to be different times. Maybe some of them are like the same time, like the same night, and she was doing something else in 10 or more images. But I think a lot of them are going to be on different occasions that he abused her. The amount of evidence is astronomical. All of this was on Stephan Sters' Google account, on his phone, on his Google Drive. So, if the judge had not denied the motion to suppress, Hannah, have a good day at work, sweetheart, then all of this would have had to have been thrown out. We're going to go to West 2 News to see what they have to say about it.
The sex abuse case of a man accused of raping and killing 13-year-old Madeline Soto will finally go to trial before the end of this month. As West 2's Luana Munoz reports, the judge is giving both sides a little more time to prepare.
Stephan Sters' trial dealing with 60 counts of sexual abuse will now be pushed to July 22nd. That's when jurors will be selected to make a decision in this capital case. On Wednesday, Stephan Sters was not in the Osceola County courtroom for his pretrial hearing. His attorneys had been trying to get all images of child abuse found on his phone tossed out of the case, claiming detectives coerced him into handing it over when they should have gotten a warrant for the phone.
And I did put a video out going over those documents, those motions to suppress. If you would like to watch that video, this is that video. It is titled OCSO Messed Up. All CSAM evidence could be thrown out. And it goes over every single motion to suppress that they filed, which was a total of 3. But each one is like 20 some odd pages. So it's from 4 months ago. You can definitely check that out on your free time to get more of an idea of what they were claiming as their reason to have all of that evidence thrown out.
But Judge Keith Karsten denied that request.
Those orders deny the defense's request pursuant to the exclusionary rule to exclude the cell phone or data from the cell phone or the information extracted from the search warrant to the Google Corporation.
Sters is accused of raping 13-year-old Madeline Soto for years, allegedly killing her and dumping her body in a field in Osceola County in February.
In the prone position, just to remind you, because Keo pointed that out when we were going over this. Let's talk about that real quick. Prone position. Let's go to images. Prone position with her face down is what it said, like this. That's how they found her, but not her arms up. And her knees were bent, it said, towards the back. We did a video where we went over this. I mean, like, she's thrown with her face down in the dirt, just like a piece of garbage, thrown away on the side of the road with her face down in the dirt. I mean, with his I don't know how to say this, with what his ex-girlfriend said and her being in that position and the fact that he went back out to the scene several times, from my understanding, while she was out there, I have concerns that other things might have happened. And that upsets me as well. I mean, it's just, he couldn't leave her alone in life or death.
February 2024.
What a wonderful day for justice this is. This is amazing. Thank God. Thank God he denied their motions to suppress. Madeline will finally be able to get justice. This case needs to go before a jury as soon as possible, and I am elated that it's going to start on July 22nd. No more delays, no more motions, no more nonsense. It's on the books, as far as I can tell, and let us all pray together that it definitely starts on that date. for him to continue it just 10 days later than when it was supposed to start, or not even 10 days, like 8 days later, I think he really wants it to start. So it said face down and knees bent, like up, knees bent, like I think her legs were kind of like laying on the back of her thigh. I don't know how to, like, um, face down with her knees bent upright or something to that effect. Hey, Ella Blue, I'm gonna see if I can find that the video we did on it where we show the document that was put out from the Discovery, because Discovery's like 1,000 pages and it's in one of the documents. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick.
He had been allegedly living with Soto's mother and had been in an on-again, off-again relationship with her. This trial, now set to begin on July 22nd, will focus solely on the abuse charges, something prosecutors want to complete before Stearns goes to trial for murder.
Now, the reason they want to do that is because if they can convict him of the CSAM charges, then when he goes to court for the homicide charges in September, it proves an aggravating factor. That's important to seek the death penalty. And I think we can all agree that this monster definitely deserves the death penalty. Look at him.
To use the conviction to boost their case.
Typically, we would not want to have a trial date that's within 30 days of very significant evidentiary rulings. We'd like to have those rulings so that we can chart our course from there to prepare for trial in that last month.
Now, Stearns' defense had filed a motion last week to have all newspapers removed during his trial. Today, the judge did not make a decision on that request. He did say that jurors will have to be properly vetted so that they will be impartial to this case. And of course, we will be covering every aspect of this trial from start to finish. Stay with us both on air and online at WESH.com. Covering Osceola County in Kissimmee, I'm Luana Munoz, WESH 2 News.
Now, they had already filed with the court to try to have the media kept from being at the courthouse, and that motion has already been denied. So I don't know what the deal is with the newspapers, but I guess it's a last-ditch effort to keep at least some aspect of the media out of the courthouse. From my understanding, reviewing the motions that Keith Karsten has already denied, there is no way that they're going to stop the media, cameras, WESH 2 News, Fox Orlando, all of those news stations from being in the courtroom and recording every aspect of this trial. I will cover this from start to finish. So if you're not subscribed, please make sure that you do so. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up on your way out. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you...
Okay, I was looking for it. I did it with Hio, so I'm checking on her page. I couldn't find it on mine, but there's just so many live streams on mine. I think it might be this one. Let me see. Yep. Let's try this one real quick. I'm going to accomplish the Hio's page. Oh my goodness. I'm looking for it because I'll know it when I see it. I need Hio. She's got it on her computer. She saved it. It might not be in here. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I am trying. I really wanted to show that to y'all. I apologize for having y'all wait. I just am not seeing it. Yeah. Okay. I know if Hio was here, she's got a picture of it that we made on her laptop, but I don't know where it would be at now for me. Okay. Going back to Brian Kohberger and what Dainty Dane sent me, I was going to pull up this layout of the house from a person. I'm going to have to pause it because I don't know who this person is. I will drop their link. Let me pull it up so y'all can see it. Is she here? I don't see her yet. She's not showing up on my side yet. Okay.
According to court documents.
So this is a really great layout of what happened with the homicides from AZ Gent Industries. I'm going to go ahead and subscribe. I grabbed their link and I'm going to drop it in chat, and I will access my live while we watch this for a second and pin it to let you guys go ahead and check them out if you would like to do so. I think she's laying out her timeline of the Moscow, Idaho crime, and I'm going to say in her opinion because technically we don't know yet, and see what that can tell us. Actually, I could move to her account.
Since Brian Kohberger pled guilty today, I feel like we released this full illustration of the Idaho 4 crimes showing Kohberger's movements. It's put together by evidence given to me by media companies like Netflix and others, including more recently Dateline, who hired me to do their 3D modeling for their project. I'm going to include a lot of information into this episode where you can see exactly what took place from moment to moment. Let's get started. In this illustration, we're going to start at 3:30 a.m.
Oh, wow. So evidently she does stuff for Dateline and all kinds of agencies and things like that. This should be really interesting. Hopefully I can play it and not get in trouble. I pinned her link if you guys would like to check her out. There's some untruths in this great video though. Okay, thank you.
At this time, everyone is asleep except for Xana. Looking inside the home, we can see where everybody was. Starting at the 3rd floor, we can see where Maddie and Kaylee were sleeping. Maddie was sleeping on the edge of the bed, while Kaylee was sleeping near the wall. As we go out and drop down to the 2nd floor, we can see Dylan's room directly under Maddie's room. Continuing across the living room onto the other side of the home, we see Xana's room. She's sitting in bed scrolling on her phone while Ethan sleeps next to her. Minutes ago, she had just finished ordering DoorDash and has all the lights on while she waits. The last roommate to mention is Beth, whose room is on the 1st floor, directly below the living room. As most of them all sleep, Kohberger pulled into the neighborhood for the first time this night at precisely 3:30 a.m. We know this due to a home security camera that captures the intersection and records the coming and going of anybody that enters that neighborhood.
And there's the video footage from him. Oh my goodness, that girl is something else.
As we continue, Kohberger drives past the home and notices that all the lights on the 2nd floor are still on. He drives on and loops around the apartment complex building. Because of the home security timestamp, we're able to know how long it took to drive this path. On his first pass, it took him 2 minutes and 38 seconds, and this is him leaving on the first pass. Now let's look at his next 2 passes and record the times. This is pass 2 of him entering and leaving. And now this is pass 3 of him entering and leaving.
So if they've got him this many times, I mean, how did he think he committed the perfect crime? Because you're just driving, you're scoping out the resident. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing driving past here this many times? Like, if you saw the lights were on and you really wanted to commit the perfect crime, why wouldn't you just come back another night?
When we do the math, we can see how long he took each pass. The last 2 passes were normal without any stopping, but on his first pass, he took an additional 42 seconds to creep by the house or even stop for a time to stare into the windows with the lights on. All this information has been coming from camera A, but there is a second camera located behind the apartment complex building, and we're going to call that camera B located here. This camera allows us to see how long it took to get from point A to point B, and between the 3 security cameras' data, it took between 35 and 37 seconds. What this means is you didn't stop or park somewhere or go into a different direction. He simply drove straight from point A to point B at regular speed.
I've never seen
These
it.
times help us understand.
I've never seen it drawn out like this. This is interesting.
In the DoorDash delivery window. According to court documents, 2 times are noted. One is 3:59 a.m. and the other is 4 a.m. Bringing back our passage chart, we can see that the DoorDash time of 3:59 happens after Kohberger has left the neighborhood and before he returns for his last pass at 4:04. It is possible that the DoorDash driver saw Kohberger as he was parking his car, because a timestamp of 3:59 could be reflected when he took the photo of the food at the front door instead of the time he arrived. So it is possible he witnessed Kohberger staring at the windows as he drove by. Continuing, as the driver leaves.
So basically, they're saying that because the DoorDash driver took the picture of the food that they dropped off at the residence at 3:59 a.m. and Brian is not seen on camera at that point in time, the only way that Brian Kohberger could have been seen by the DoorDash driver is if she saw him while she was walking back to her car and he was staring out the window at the house. Which again makes me question why all of a sudden take the plea deal unless like the DoorDash driver person had you on camera. And obviously from the way this is laid out, it doesn't seem that she would have been able to do that because the car would have been facing the house and she would have been dropping the food off when he drove by and maybe saw him looking out the window as she was walking back from the door to her car. I mean, the car would not have got it on camera. Like, why did he take this plea deal?
Xena turns off all the lights, sits on her bed, and scrolls on her phone as she eats her food. A few minutes later, Kohberger enters the neighborhood for the last time. But this time, as he drives by the home, he sees all the lights are off. At the camera B location, he turns around to head back to the residence as shown in this video. When he returns to the front of the house, he does something unusual, so much so that it's noted in the arrest affidavit. On page 6, it states, when the suspect vehicle 1 is in front of Kings Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. It goes on to say that he continued onto the intersection where he did a 3-point turn.
So yeah, I heard that the DoorDash driver parked in the back parking lot and she parked right beside him. Like that's been a rumor. I don't know that it's necessarily been stated as fact. Yeah, it's not like the times of Ted Bundy or Ed Kemper or any of them where there was no cameras.
This 3-point turn was captured on camera A, which has a timestamp of 4:06. He appears to be calm and not overly anxious with his driving. As he heads back in the direction of the residence, he takes one last look at the windows to make sure all the lights are off. As he begins to drive around the end of the apartment complex, camera B records the time of 4:07. Fast forwarding a little bit, Kohberger drives to the back parking lot away from other residences. He takes a few minutes looking around and sees that nobody's out and that all is quiet.
With that, I wonder if this would have happened if that back parking lot had not been there. I feel like he sat there for a long time and watched them in that house. Like it's an easy place to park out of the way where nobody would see you. But I mean, you would get caught on camera pulling into it and going out.
He eventually grabs his things, gets out of the vehicle, and begins walking to the back of the home.
Right.
At approximately 4:13 a.m., he begins to make entry. As he steps in, he takes a minute to make sure everything is quiet and that nobody is truly up. He walks to the entrance of the living room and looks around. He continues to be cautious and stands there listening. Feeling confident, he continues upstairs. As he makes his way to Maddie's room, the time is about 4:14. Meanwhile, 2 minutes later, Xana takes a break from TikTok and walks into the kitchen. Evidence shows her activity on the app stopped at 4:16. As she enters the kitchen, she's a little shocked to see the sliding glass door wide open. And at the same time, she hears a serious commotion going on upstairs. Hey everyone, I don't usually ask, but I'm building a small production company to bring you more exciting stories, and I'd love your support. If you'd like to help out, get some cool perks, or own the 3D model file I created for this animation, please send me a DM and then drop a hashtag #AsGet in the comments so I know to look for your messages. Your support truly means the world to me. Thank you.
I dropped her link is pinned to the top of the comment section if you guys would like to subscribe. She seems to know her stuff pretty well. I think she did a great job with this. Abellis, oh my God, thank you so much for gifting 20 memberships. That was so very sweet and supportive of you, and I really appreciate that. Oh my goodness. Those went to Skits, West Side Crime Music, The Jennifer, Infinite Ink, Kez Connor Family, Voodoo, Debbie, Deb Gibbons, Courtney Doolin, Blonde Bell, 101, Sarah B, Starshine, Karen Sorrento, Very Much Lady, Only Fan, Tammy Wagner. Sorry, the chickens were clucking. Okay. Jane Doe, Sleepy Sea Otters, Jeff H, Angela Spanks, Diana Music. If you guys were gifted from Abellis, please tell Abellis thank you. Thank you so very much, Abellis. And I will grab the Polar Express, pick y'all up on the way to Speculation Station. Thank you so much. Hey, and yeah, the chicken was clucking, and I'm like, it's laying an egg, like right by my area here, and I was like, why is the chicken clucking? They have a hen house they lay in. Why is it laying this late in the afternoon? Um, Miss Scorpio Rising gifted a membership, and that went to Sinners and Secrets. Sinners and Secrets. If you are where you were gifted from Miss Scorpio, please tell Miss Scorpio thank you. Thank you, Miss Scorpio. And I will grab the crazy train to pick you up on the way to Speculation Station. Thank you all so much for doing that. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much. And I hope our new members enjoy the more personal videos of the geese and the garden that I need to get my butt up there and work on. Thank you, Miss Scorpio. That was so sweet. And thank you, Abellis. And Joyous N. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, them chickens are going crazy out there. Okay.
Picking up where we left off. A source revealed that Santa's phone recorded steps and elevation change, which is how it's known she went to the kitchen and the third floor. When she walked up to Maddie's doorway, she interrupted Kohberger, who had just finished an intense battle with Kaylee, who fought back violently. After a second or two, he notices her, and then she turns away. Being dark, Xana didn't realize what she was seeing other than a shadowy figure. Out of fear, she quickly leaves. A single source, unaffiliated with the media, claims Kohberger injured Xana on the third-floor hallway, leaving evidence of blood there. But this single source of information has not been validated by any more sources. Continuing, Kohberger, without thinking, pursues her all the way to her room, not realizing he had dropped the sheath of his knife. When he gets
So that's how the sheath got under her. He had a fight with, oh my God, I think it was Madison. Please don't slaughter me if I'm wrong. I apologize. I'm telling you now, I don't know this case like some of you do. I think that's how the knife sheath got under her, because he saw Xana and chased her down the hallway, fought with her because Xana could now ID him. And so he goes in there to hurt Xana.
Gets to the room, he attacks Xana, and the time is precisely 4:17:30. We know this because of camera A captured the sound of screaming and the thud.
Oh no.
After attacking Xana, Kohberger focuses his attention on Ethan and attacks him while he slept. Afterwards, Kohberger must have sat down in a chair according to a report, which found blood smears on Xana's chair, perhaps from the exhaustion of what he had just done.
Oh
This
my
source also
gosh.
says that blood from the 2 roommates upstairs were found in Xana's room, showing that it was one person moving from one room to another. Kohberger sitting down was for less than 30 seconds. As he gets up to leave, Dylan, hearing the commotion from Xana's room, gets up out of bed and goes to her door to look out into the hallway. She freezes and sees Kohberger as he walks by and exits through the kitchen. She immediately closes and locks her door and retreats to her bed. Within 20 seconds of the encounter, she's calling and texting her roommates, but no one is responding. It takes Kohberger a minute and a half to get to his vehicle after the encounter with Dylan. But once in his car, he flees the scene at a high rate of speed and exits the neighborhood at 4:20. Dylan continues trying to reach someone in the house. And after 3 minutes of trying, Bethany wakes up and responds to the calls. They converse for 3 minutes, and then Beth convinces Dylan to come downstairs. The time is now 4:26 a.m. Cautiously, Dylan walks into the hallway and through the living room. As she approaches the staircase, she can see into Xana's room and sees her laying on the floor. She then runs quickly downstairs to Beth's room, where they lock the door and for several hours continuously try contacting the other roommates. Back to when Kohberger left the neighborhood, he drove a particular route that would exit onto a road that leads straight to Washington state line. And about that same time that Dylan runs to Beth's room, Kohberger is entering Washington state. This is
Oh,
all part of
wow.
Kohberger's pre-planning, including finding a place to stop and get rid of any evidence. This place here fits that planning. This area here, pointed out by the arrow, is a little group of trees with a small area that you can park a car on. This is what it looks like from the road. At 4:30 in the morning, while changing clothes and getting cleaned up at this location, one could feel completely safe while being able to
I want to reiterate that I don't think that she's saying that that happened at that location. It's just a speculation.
see the headlights of a car coming from miles away. As this pivots around, you can see how this is out in the middle of nowhere, and a pre-dug hole near some of these
Aw.
trees would hide forever any evidence that Kohberger was trying to get rid of.
That would be amazing, Miss Scorpio. I wish that you could, or I wish we could find a way to do that. I wouldn't know other than to go out there and pick it up from you, but that would be really cool. I hope that you enjoy your move more, though. I hope you like it in Arizona. There's a lot of pretty rocks out there. Yeah, rocks are heavy and shipping is very expensive. That was a sweet gesture and a sweet thought. I don't know how we could work that out, though, unfortunately. Um, I appreciate the thought, though. Sinners and Secrets is Abraham, and they did. I went to a premiere for a few minutes. I was really busy, so I couldn't stay long, but they did a Pride Month talking about 4 victims, which I found really interesting.
It's important to remember that Kohberger was studying criminal behavior and the legal system. This would have motivated him to plan things to the smallest of details, like plastic on the seats to conceal DNA, or crossing state lines because the jurisdiction of one area would take hours to get assistance from the other. He's also smart enough to know that this 10-minute stop would likely never be on the radar of the authorities, especially after he crosses back into Idaho and then turns his phone back on. Let's pick back up where we left off at his 10-minute stop. He continues on with his plan, knowing that he's completely cleaned up and that there's no evidence to tie him to any of the crime if he were pulled over at this point. After getting on Highway 95 and turning south, he turns his phone back on at 4:48 a.m. This section of Kohberger's travels comes from his cell phone data extraction. Let's orientate ourselves onto this map and get a better understanding of the timing. Kohberger leaves Kings Road residence at 4:21 a.m. Just 8 minutes later, he arrives at his stopping point where he gets rid of all the evidence. After the cleanup, he then drives back into Idaho and turns his phone back on.
Hey, Rachel. Yeah, it appears you could see a car coming at night for miles. It's not like that out here, but I've heard that out west it's like that. So it's interesting. Please give this girl a subscribe. She's pinned to the top of the comment section.
Which occurs near a town named Blaine. This was referenced in the arrest affidavit along with the next town called Uniontown. The last place to reference is where he's seen on cameras near his apartment at 5:25 a.m. Using Google tools, we can get accurate timing information. This entire route took 54 minutes. If we add the 10 minutes stopping time to that, it would be an hour and 4 minutes. Now, if you add that hour and 4 minutes to the time he left King Road, it would equal 5:25 a.m., the same time the camera captures him on the cameras near Washington State University. The last thing to compare is this part of the route, which has a reported time of 38 minutes to drive without any stopping. Bringing back the time record and adding in the second leg information of 38 minutes, we can now add that time to when he turned his phone back on, which was at 4:48 a.m. After adding the 38 minutes to that time, it gives us 5:26 a.m., nearly the same time that was captured on the campus cameras.
That's interesting. Yeah, you could donate some. Aw. Yeah, that was fascinating. I think she said she's going to do a second one. Hold on, let me see. Let me try to go back to that. I'm probably going to go ahead and go for the day after this. Hold on.
Hi, guys.
So this is part one. I think she is going to do another one. She's got Karen Reed, Sonia Massey. Oh, wow. Apple River stabbing. Thomas Crooks. Running on the roof. Oh, my goodness. So these are all really interesting. Definitely make sure you guys give her a subscribe. That's pretty interesting. I've already donated. If I have anything left, I will. But I do have to sell things because I'm selling on my furniture. Oh, my goodness. Well, I hope it makes you happy. I think it's Asia Industries. It's pinned to the top of the comment section. Let me see. Oh, goodness. I have to go this way. It's AZGENT Industries. I'm not even going to try. AZGENT Industries. I'm ready for movement in the Ellen Greenberg case too. I heard that her husband, who they think committed the homicide, because it definitely was a homicide in my opinion. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. It definitely was a homicide in my opinion, and I heard that his family was the judge or something, and that they're off the case or something to that effect. Oh, you're good. I'm gonna be heading out for the. Wait a minute, is it not pinned? So no, where you're typing at, Anders, there is a link in the top. There's like a white where you're in the live stream where you're typing at in live chat. There should be where you see a link at the top that's pinned, and it's like got a white background. It says allegedly speculating, and it's like a link. Click that link, and I am going to put it in the comment section as well. Excuse me. I don't think it was self-inflicted at all. All right, I want to thank y'all for being here today. I really appreciate it, and I hope y'all have a wonderful evening. I will be here for the 4th tomorrow, and I hope to see y'all here. Everybody who's not going to be here, I hope you enjoy July 4th festivities with your families. I will be here Saturday too. We're going camping next week, but I'm going to come back from the lake to do live streams. So I'll be here. I hope y'all have a good day tomorrow, and I hope to see you. If not, I hope you are enjoying time with your family. And until then, I hope you have a good night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. If nobody has told you, you are important, you are enough, you are special, and you are loved. And I hope y'all have a good night. Thank you so much for everything, and see you tomorrow. Bye.
Listen up, I gotta tell you, there is something you should know.